Hello dear viewers, thank you for choosing the Manhwa compilation channel. Please leave feedback in the comments after watching. Enjoy watching. The story begins with the main character saving a girl from trouble, and this is the most cliched event that could ever happen. Next comes the solving of crimes, and apparently our hero has already managed to fight with someone. A man with a strange hairstyle, standing on stage, shouted into the microphone for number 118 to come up on stage and show his abilities to the city ruler. The protagonist's first order as the city lord would be to ask the head of the guard to find any reason to call all the beauties of the city of Dawn and hold a beauty contest testing special skills. Our main character arrived from Earth. His name is Gao Meow, and he has been transported from the extremely peaceful society of 21st century Earth. His life has always been ordinary and boring. He was sitting on the bed, blindfolded, with a cute girl sitting on his lap, telling him to relax. Somehow finding herself behind him, she blew into his ear, asking if he could feel her. It seems that this is a world with a system. It highlighted that the Iron Flag team has successfully entered the world. While the team teleported out of nowhere, she announced that the virtual world monster arena was open. A team of 4 people appeared inside the protective barrier, along with an animal of unknown origin. The blue-eyed blonde said that in the world of cinema, there is an odd number of reincarnations, and after each of them the general plot remains unchanged. But it is quite normal that the details are different. Obviously, this is just the world of cinema. This is a big universe that Gao Meow can't wait to explore. And again, an unknown creature appeared, calling the guy the Master, saying that he can move from the main world to the virtual one, and he has the ability to do this on his own. However, he can't push himself too hard. Nana can help him reactivate this ability. A man with long hair sat on the ground and rubbed his sword with his hand. His name is Yan Chixia, and apparently, he is one of the Lords of Heaven. Gao Meow apparently thought that this was his destiny, especially since in the future he would meet beauties from 1,000 worlds. Well, naturally he needs to use his fists, rushing at unknown creatures without protection. That world is like Earth. The indigenous people like to call it the Blue Planet. And 100 years ago, a meteorite fell from the sky, causing a catastrophe that engulfed the whole world. Something very similar to the story with our land. As soon as the meteorite fell, chaos immediately began. Mutated creatures began to attack humanity. And the more they mutated, the more they looked like monsters from typical horror stories. But the meteorite not only affected monsters, but also people, some of whom awakened abilities to fight the mutated ones. In the last stages of change, the original order of human society was completely changed. Shopping, karaoke, and watching movies that we are used to no longer exist. They were replaced by the old and familiar system of weak and strong, where the winner becomes king. Gao Meow already had the memory of the original owner as soon as he entered that world. When he got there, pretty badly wounded, and saw the bodies of his teammates nearby, his heart broke. The original owner is the user of an ability that grows every day, and strengthens his body in all directions depending on his age. Its original owner is an orphan who was adopted as a child by an old mercenary. And as he grew up, he joined a small group of mercenaries, which consisted only of old masters, and it so happened that he was the strongest in the group. That's why he is still alive, and not lying among the corpses of his teammates. It's a pity that they faced the top predators in this doomsday world. Suddenly, Gao Meow felt something sticky and disgusting on himself. Touching it, he realized that it was the saliva of a monster. A huge creature, which was 5 or 7 times larger than a man, was preparing to attack. It was a mutant Tyrannosaurus. In fact, this situation would be fatal for him too. But he doesn't know how his ability works from the word at all. The age determination from it seems to be supplemented by 20 years of his stay on Earth. Otherwise, it would be impossible to solve this problem with one blow to the half-dead body as soon as he moved there. He buried the bodies of his comrades according to the customs of that world. And he returned to the city, where he noticed a very strange thing. His current body looks exactly the same as before the transfer. Even the name is the same. However, judging by the memories of the previous owner, he looked different. And his name was clearly not Gao Meow. A smiling man with stitching hair asked him if he was pleased with the outfit. Even people who knew him as Owen call him Gao Meow. He feels puzzled but cannot find the answer, so he can only accept his fate. And then he will continue to live in this world of the end of the world. 2 years later, City of Dawn. Gao Meow thought that it was good for his body to become stronger with age, but it would be bad if other desires also became stronger. Suddenly, he heard a woman's voice. She was telling someone that she was a member of the Mercenary Ranger Corps, and if they treated her like that, then her leader would not let it go. The guy at first thought that it was the adult film studio in the city of Zarya who had returned, but he did not expect to find it. A picture appeared before his eyes where a pink-haired girl was being held using an ability that looked like a vine or tentacles. A man with blonde hair says that if he dares to desecrate her, then he will not be afraid of her leader. He ordered his subordinate to arouse her using his ability. He followed the instructions and tears appeared on the girl's face. He tearfully asked to let her go. The subordinate only laughed and with dripping drool, asked if she was pleased, at the same time adding power to the ability. Gao Meow shouted to them to leave the girl behind. They looked around in surprise. Without hesitation, he threw the reinforcement and it flew straight at them with great speed. They didn't have time to dodge, so she pierced them right through. It was the stupidest death in the whole wide world. The girl happily realized that the effect of that scumbag's ability was wearing off. They fell to the ground in unnatural positions. Gao Meow realized that he had overdone it a little, and now those two were dead. Well, it can't be helped. They deserve it. He jumped off the wall with a smile, saying that it was better not to deal with such perverts. After all, they behave simply disgustingly. Having landed, the guy agreed that it would be much better if they were dead. While the girl was walking away from the ability used on her, Gao Meow approached, asking if she was okay. He asked with a smile if she needed help, since it seemed to him that she was a little weak. It looked like a super cute rescue of the girl, so she blushed and thanked him for his help. Holding her hand, he said that although the strength of her body was enhanced by the ability, it was still limited. So in other words, it's too weak. She was indignant, saying that she, as a mercenary, is, at a minimum, a user with the ability of the first energy level. Hearing this, he gave her an iron ball. Having caught the ball, she looked at it in bewilderment. Gao Meow smiled and told her to try to crush the ball if she could. Then he would admit that she had a classification. She began to press with all her might on the iron ball with her fingers, but not a single crack appeared. Having stopped squeezing the ball, she asked what kind of classification we were talking about. He seriously replied that she would get classified in order to sleep with him. After all, his body is too strong, and if the strength of the female body is not enough, then the internal organs will be damaged and the intestines will explode. Having heard the answer, the girl's hands were itching to kill this pervert. She angrily unleashed her ability on him, summoning a flurry of wind blades. Apparently, he remained unharmed. It's a pity. Gao Meow, talking to himself, said that it was strange, because when he saved this girl, the pheromones emanating from her body were clearly aimed at sleeping with him. But she suddenly got angry and attacked him. He will never understand women. He can only come to terms with it. Suddenly, someone called out to him, telling him to wait. The guards with the letter P on their chests approached him, saying that Pan Wei, the lord of the City of Dawn, ordered them to invite the guy to his mansion as a guest. At the same time, as stated earlier, the team entered the world. The system reported that the Iron Flag team had successfully entered the world. While they were appearing, she also reported that the protective field of the creatures of the virtual world was turned on. A team of 4 people appeared with a huge creature behind them, and apparently this is the appearance of the system. The only girl from the squad told one of the companions not to be too greedy, because this world is very dangerous. He replied that he was simply curious, because of whom they were almost destroyed in the world of the Light Dynasty. Was it because he made a bloody sacrifice in the form of a citizen, only to receive a sacrificial magical weapon? The girl threw her hands down irritably, asking Nelson if he was trying to quarrel with her. Wasn't he the one who killed several army captains just to get the Sage Stone? The guy just spread his hands at this, saying that he didn't even mention anyone. Why did she get wound up? The eldest of the group turned to them, telling them both to cover their mouths. He told the blonde, whose name was Tom, that they would now better concentrate on the conditions of the next world. He replied that for now they know that they are in a world from a series of films called Survivors. The film is a standard action blockbuster about the end of the world. In the first 3 films, the protagonist, Zhang Chufan, rebels from Weiwei and goes on a quest to find a water purification chip. He crosses a desert where mutant beasts are rampant, meets 4 companions, and finally faces the supervillain Pan Wei. Pan Wei is eventually killed in a heavy battle where he sacrifices all his companions. Tom asked the system which part of that world they ended up in this time. She said that they were in the 4th part. They were very surprised because Pan Wei died in the 3rd part. The blonde said that maybe this is a prequel. It tells the story of the emergence of the supervillain Pan Wei. The eldest of the group asked about the task, and accordingly about the reward. The system reported that the task was to kill Pan Wei. However, he has the ability Absorption. He can absorb energy, becoming stronger. Well, the reward after completing the task, all participants will be rewarded with 1,000 points, and the one who kills the villain will be rewarded with A-rank rewards. It seems that the rating of their team in the God Temple is too high. The elder says that the last time there was an A-level award, his entire team died. Only he survived. Nelson was thinking about what he could do when he received the award. Tom, holding his head, said that when the award is A level, it means that the task is very difficult. According to the data of the previous team that attacked that world, the highest combat force of this world is level 3, and the highest boss, Pang Wei, is even level. Since this is a prequel, Pang Wei has only recently entered energy level 3. They can easily defeat him. They will have to think through everything carefully and sacrifice and take risks. Now they must understand at what point in the film they find themselves. The system reported that the world simulation will be completed. Therefore, Team Iron Flag needs to get ready. Suddenly, the protective barrier dissipated, which greatly frightened the local residents. The elder said that in any case, they should find one of the locals and ask about the current situation. Meanwhile, at Pang Wei's mansion, the Overlord says that he heard about how Gao Meow crossed the central forbidden zone alone, and he can only wish that he had the same courage as the guy. And while the boy was gorging himself on canned food, the Lord continued to say that today he has the opportunity to invite him to his mansion for a banquet. Gao Meow only thanked the master with a smile, saying that he had not eaten so much for a long time. These canned goods, full of preservatives, which were made before the end of the world, have now become a delicacy. Before the move, he could not even think that he would have to eat them. Pang Wei asked him not to stop at just food, but to drink some wine. The guy thought what was so good about wine. The apocalypse has already passed, and they still can't get rid of this boring wine culture. At the same time, Tom, using his ability, inspected the territory with the help of an eagle. He said that all this does not look good. The artillery tower collapsed, and judging by the remains, this happened a month ago. Nelson spread his hands in bewilderment, asking what this would all lead to if the tower collapsed. The elder replied that in the movie, Pang Wei destroyed the tower when he fought Xiu Yang, another level 3 master. In other words, this means that Pang Wei had already defeated and absorbed Xiu Yang. According to the plot, Pang Wei now targets Wei Feng's King of the Wild, Gao Meow, as well as Su Jin at the peak of the 3rd energy level. He will then increase his strength and become the world's greatest 4th energy level. A girl from the team said that she secretly killed the guard on duty and gained access to his memory. It looks like Pang Wei just invited Gao Meow to a banquet at his mansion. Nelson again intervened in the conversation, saying that in the midst of the battle between Gao Meow and Pang Wei, they could intervene and capture them both. To which Tom replied that the reason why Pang Wei was able to become the big boss in the film is because he is good at camouflage. He deliberately created a poisoned banquet to weaken Gao Meow and absorb his energy. After hearing Tom's conclusion, Nelson said that the gods would definitely never allow them to pass any level with ease. The elder only replied that the gods have always been like this. They always have only one lifeline left in each mission, and they have to fight for survival. Suddenly, Gao Meow noticed something strange in the wine that was served to him at the table. He pushed the wine aside to Pang Wei, saying that it would be a waste if this fine wine was given to someone who could not appreciate its taste as he did. Gao Meow asked if the Lord would like some wine. He answered with a smile that this wine was prepared especially for Lord Gao Meow. The guy asked him that he really wouldn't even take a sip. Pang Wei replied that the value of red wine is that 60% of it can be drunk in the first sip, and that first sip belongs to none other than the powerful Lord Gao Meow. After this, the young man fell silent and stared at the interlocutor opposite. Pang Wei stared at him in response, asking if he had something on his face. Gao Meow confirmed this, saying with a smile that he actually saw a few words on his face. He began to list them: deception, cunning, greed, and even more. And lastly, stupidity. Having said this, he immediately poured wine on Pang Wei, but he was protected by his shield. He said that since Gao Meow ate all the food, it would never have occurred to him that the guy would not drink wine. Pang Wei said with a smile that the properties of SCP-7321 cytotoxin are almost the same as red wine in both color and taste, making them a perfect match. If he had been put in such a situation, he asked how he understood it. Gao Meow simply replied that the Lord was too weak. His daily growing ability is not only physical, but also spiritual. When his spiritual power reached a certain level, he gained a premonition. He hadn't had such premonitions for a long time, and considering this, the wine he poured him must be lethal. Hearing his answer, Pang Wei roared from the rage that filled him, asking if he knew who he was talking to. But before he could finish speaking, Gao Meow appeared in front of him, who found himself near him in an instant and swung his fist at him. But Gao Meow only hit the shield. Pang Wei saw this act and said that it was quite rude. Despite the strength of the shield, Gao Meow's strength was still greater, and a crack appeared on the shield in the place where the guy hit. As a result, having broken through and smashed the shield into pieces, the young man hit the Lord right in the stomach. The city ruler did not expect this at all, so he did not have time to react. Gao Meow's blow carried him straight into the wall, leaving a good dent on it. But no, the wall was broken through. Pang Wei just grinned at this, saying that it was powerful. so much so that it even destroyed his shield. He stood up, brushed himself off, and said that unfortunately he didn't think the guy knew what his ability was. It can absorb any damage dealt, so he confidently declared that he could not hurt him. Suddenly, Peng Wei felt that he had a wound and was bleeding. This made him confused. He suddenly realized that the power of the blow exceeded the power of his ability to absorb. Pan Wei shouting asked him where he got such a strong ability. Realizing that the matter smelled of frying, he began to persuade Gao Meow to take a peaceful path to solving this problem. Gao Meow only asked if he had finished, taking a stance, preparing to attack. Having taken the start, he pushed off from the floor, running towards it with all his strength. A moment later, he appeared in front of Pan Wei, swinging at him. He hit him in the face, so much so that a dent remained on the ground. And the ruler realized that the guy had level 4 energy. The city lord died from such a blow with such force. Gao Meow kicked him in the face, saying that he was a weakling. He was indignant that he was such a weakling, and even dared to bother him. The guy thought that the lord's guards would want to avenge the lord, but all he saw was that they all knelt down. One of the guards said that City Lord Pan Wei overestimated his strength, and even tried to fight him, but was killed. He announced that from today, he is the new lord of the City of Dawn. After watching their battle, even he realized that Gao Meow's strength was far beyond human understanding. He passed by the guard, saying that so be it, he will remain the city ruler for a couple of days. The guards told him not to worry, because they would provide him with their support to the best of their ability. They will make sure that everything he does goes smoothly. Hearing this, Gao Meow turned around with a smile and said, "Listen carefully. His first order as a lord." Due to Peng Wei's high popularity, the announcement of his death would be too shocking and would lead to chaos in the city. Therefore, the employees will pretend that his abilities have reached the highest level, and he is in no mood to care about anything else. Therefore, he handed over his responsibilities to Gao Meow. The guy sat relaxed and watched what was happening on the stage, while the guards standing behind him did not relax their vigilance for a minute. A blue-haired girl came onto the stage. Her name is Alice, and she is a user of the ability to control liquids. She asks the Lord to watch her performance. This is a flawless ability, but unfortunately the overall ability is only at the first level, which is truly unfortunate. The board showed her characteristics, number, height, weight, age, ability, and the general rank of ability. His first order was to hold a beauty contest and special abilities. However, the problem was that there were quite a few strong and beautiful ones, so there were also ugly ones. Beauties are not strong enough, and strong ones are not beautiful enough. It is quite difficult to find a woman who will be reliable and can achieve his life goals with him. Suddenly, one of the guards said that when his team was looking through the contestants' applications, they found another one that might fit all his criteria. Hearing this, Gao Meow said that if that was the case, then let him go on stage. At the last minute, the judges changed the order of the participants, so participant number 999 comes out. The girl came out wrapped in a robe and covering her face with a veil. Looking at her outfit, Gao Meow asked where she was a beauty, to which the guard said to be patient a little. The girl introduced herself as Ning Xiao, and a user of the mind illusion ability. Gao Meow has already become interested in her, starting to read her characteristics. However, abilities related to the mind are quite rare, especially such abilities to create illusions. He suddenly had a daring idea. He asked if her powers were strong enough to create a dreamlike illusion for someone. She replied that she could do it without any problems, and besides, she knew how to do it well. Ning Xiao could not even think that Gao Meow survived. Gao Meow said that he chooses her, saying to take the girl to his room. The person with the microphone told Xiao that the city lord invited her to stay a little longer to talk. In the city lord's bedroom, there was a double bed and a huge mirror in the wall, and a portrait of Pan Wei still hung there. The guard led her to the room and left, saying that the lord was right there. Ning Fu thought that they were too careless, but it only worked to her advantage. Gao Meow was already in the bedroom. He told her that he was pleased to meet you. Seeing him, the girl rushed into his arms, which made the lord a little shocked. Placing her hand on his chest, Xiao languidly said that she could satisfy all his desires. He scratched his head in confusion, asking if she was really going to skip all the steps. Is it because his male pheromones are released too much? Gao Meow pushed her face away from him, saying that although he likes her, it's not because of her body. She has a weak body and only level 2 abilities. She won't be able to stand it. But her mind illusion ability is truly unique. She can help his ascension practice. He said that he was simply using her abilities so that she would help him have a good dream. It should include food and wine, but most importantly, an unlimited number of beauties. Xiao replied that she could fulfill the Lord's order, but it would be very difficult for her to recreate the individual dream world he wanted, so she needed the Lord's cooperation. He agreed to this. Sitting on the bed, Gao Meow asked her what exactly he should do. Blindfolding him, she told him to free his mind and forget that he saw her in reality, before feeling every inch of her body step by step. Sitting behind him, hugging him, she told him to relax so that Xiao Fu could stay close to him. Blowing into his ear, she asked if he could feel her. Ning Fu said that this is the necessary preparation for building a dream. At that time, in the dream, the city lord will feel very good. She ran her sharp nails along his chin while he said that he was really looking forward to this dream. Having released something from her back, she said that she was starting to prepare. Half turning into a spider, she pointed her paws at him, telling him not to open his eyes. The girl began to release her energy, entangling him in a web. Finding himself completely in a cocoon of cobwebs, Gao Meow thought it was very cool. At the same moment, he unraveled, deactivating her ability. Xiao Fu was slightly confused because she had just placed a web on his body. Gao Meow wondered whether it was too late for him to pretend to be dead, or whether he had already been discovered. She once again sent her ability to him, confusing him even more. This time it was not deactivated, so Ning Fu thought it worked. Her illusory web became invisible so as not to arouse suspicion. Yes, the adventure was worth it. They got a level 3 fighter and increased their chances of defeating the main boss, Pan Y. Gao Meow thought that something was wrong. It seemed to him that he was being attacked. It seems like this is some kind of force manipulating a person. Pulling off the blindfold, she said that despite the fact that he was a character from a film, he was a good actor. Now it will be easy to kill the boss. There will always be disobedient people who want to harm him. Such an attack cannot even trigger a warning. It can break this hypnosis. But what is she talking about? She told him to follow her. Although he can break the hypnosis at any moment, he must understand what this girl is talking about. Thus, he came under the conscious control of this strange woman and left the city. They went outside the city, entering the village of vagabonds. Xiao Fu entered the house, boasting about who she brought from Dawn. Nelson didn't think she would find one like that in the movie world. Maybe she wants to sell him as a slave. Tom also said that if he can make her so happy, then he clearly cannot be an ordinary character. The girl proudly announced that this is the Lord of the City of Dawn, Gao Meow, and she has it under control. The elder asked Tom if there was a problem with this plot change. There is nothing in the movie about Gao Meow becoming a city lord. He replies that it is not surprising that the character Gao Meow is a very short scene in the film. He was simply killed. Gao Meow realized that the world he found himself in was just a movie world, but the fact is that he is just a character in the world of cinema, who is killed by the main character, another peak 3rd energy level warrior. This is a significant gain on their part. It is too easy for Xiao Fu to control Gao Meow, plus without changing anything in the movie. After all, the Void Heaven Temple did not send them to this world to rest. What is the reward for achieving a rank? He is sure that they know everything. Gao Meow thought that isn't Panwei weak. Why do they talk to him so much? It seems that these 4 people are also travelers, and they seem to have used the power of the Void Heavenly Palace to get here. Tom clapped his hands cheerfully, telling them not to worry because he would not attack head-on. He asked Sister Xiao Fu to lock up Gao Meow as he needed to get information for him. Having agreed, the girl told the guy to go to another room. Without hesitation, he turned around and began to walk towards the exit door. But something was wrong. He was already under control. Why would they put him alone in a dark room? Suddenly, Tom shouted to the others, causing Gao Meow to go out of control. It looks like he was found out, but how did they know? First, he needs to remove at least one. A hand grew out of the ground, hitting the guy so that he flew up. From such a blow, Gao Meow broke through the roof of the tent with himself, flying even further. Landing with ease, he said with a grin that it was a good blow, but it wouldn't hurt him. But suddenly he felt a magic circle spreading under his feet. The magic circle increased in size, taking in a small piece of land. Then the guy felt his heartbeat speed up, which meant he was in danger. He was immediately attacked by a huge number of projectiles and curses. They flew straight at him, creating a huge explosion. All 4 armed men stood on a huge stone golem. Nelson suddenly asked Tom why he gave the order to suddenly attack Gao Meow. He replied that since he can monitor the state of biological activity of brainwaves, during their conversation, Gao Meow's brain was very active, which means that the guy was thinking about everything that he heard there. The elder, standing in armor, told them to take this as practice before the fight with Pan Wei. The half-spider girl was angry that she was fooled by a simple character. She said that she was going to just kill him in the end to cleanse his soul. But now she changed her mind. They have to kill him painfully. But suddenly, in the middle of the hot earth, they saw Gao Meow alive and unharmed. This shocked them. The long-haired Gao Meow was already standing on the ground, who said that they forced him to take his true appearance. He said with a smile that the last being who saw him in this form was the god of beasts, the progenitor of all mutant beasts on this planet, and he dispelled him into dust. Nelson asked how Gao Meow could be so strong if he was just an NPC who was defeated by Pan Wei. There is a limit to how much the plot can change. The most exaggerated Gao Meow that the other 3rd-level strength teams had encountered in the Void Heaven Temple. He wasn't that strong after all. Tom replied that there was no such character as the Beast God in the film. but based on the setting of the film itself, he should be even more powerful than Pang Wei in his strongest years. And this Gao Meow killed him. The elder shouted to Tom not to drive the cart ahead of the horses. He shouted that they had no choice but to kill Gao Meow. He completely covered himself in the likeness of Iron Man, starting the MK-30 reboot mode. Nelson also ate a magic stone. Turning into a stone golem, he shouted that he would destroy it. Looking at all this, Gao Meow himself only smiled, saying that he hopes that he can play with him for a while. He is already invincible on this planet. The main one and the golem prepared to attack him, and the stone even growled. First, the elder attacked and directed rays at him. Gao Meow said enthusiastically, "So fast and the force of each blow is so strong. Does this mean he finally has a chance to show his full strength?" With all his strength, Gao Meow pushed off the ground, heading towards the Iron Man parody. Having hit the team commander, he said that he was beginning to gradually increase his strength, so that he needed to hold out. From his blow, the elder lost consciousness, and he didn't even make any special efforts. The golem apparently entered a state of rage. He shouted that he would help his commander. At the same moment, Nelson hit the magic circle, controlling gravity with it. It looks like he can use gravity to make his punch stronger. Shouting for him to see his strike this time, Gao Meow struck the golem. A moment later, when the blow reached Nelson, his stone body split into many separate stones. Tom started to bleed from his eyes when he read the spell, saying 33,000 words of the forbidden spell were pronounced. Great forbidden spell, tentacles of the ancient god of the blood pool. He summoned huge tentacles that appeared out of nowhere. But Gao Meow doesn't care about all these tentacles. He flew straight into the source of these very tentacles. After breaking through the outer barrier, he said that although it looked delicious, it did not taste like octopus. Having turned into full spider form, he was about to summon the soul of the skeleton. The being with a blue glow responded as she said that she would borrow the power of the great skeleton King Dharma. She ordered him to kill their enemies, and the creature pointed its paw at Gao Meow, flying towards them. Mocking, he asked what kind of gorilla this was, taking one of the fragments from the golem in his hand, saying that he would let him try this thing. Having told him to catch the stone, he threw it with all his strength straight into the gorilla's hand. She held her hand for a second, but after a moment a crack appeared in her hand, which grew as if on a statue. Therefore, having nevertheless overcome the obstacle in the form of a hand, the fragment rushed to the head of the skeleton king. Blood flowed from Xiaofu's mouth when Gao Meow injured her skeleton god spirit. The surviving team leader, standing on the molten one, shouted that Gao Meow was too strong. He definitely had level 4 strength. Taking out the totem, he shouted to the others that they must use 4 gods to kill, or they will all die today. The remaining 3 also took out the totems of the gods, shouting all together that the 4 gods had united and would destroy the enemy. The girl got a rooster or a phoenix, the commander got a dragon, Tom got a tiger, and Nelson got a snake and a turtle. Looking at the gathering of these spirit beasts, Gao Meow even became happy, saying, "Excellent." All 4 gods merged into one ball, charging each other with energy. Gao Meow pushed off the ground with all his might and flew straight at them. At the same moment, he hit this formed ball of energy and spirits. A moment later, this same ball exploded, along with the spirits of the kings. The summoners received a corresponding return from the destruction of their summons. Gao Meow calmly sank to the ground, not even out of breath. It had been a long time since he had such a good fight after defeating the god of beasts. He told them that if they tried, he would spare them. But looking back, he noticed that the whole group was dead. In fact, after releasing his full form, he completely lost control of himself, and his strength increased countless times. He should have learned to control his ardor more. He is very hungry, and has used up too much energy in full form. He needs to eat. Based on their conversation, this void temple must be very powerful, and it can send them to different worlds. It's a pity that he didn't leave anyone alive. He won't be able to ask anything. Suddenly the system appeared, reporting that the entire team was dead. Therefore, Guide 10086 completes his mission and is ready to return to the Temple of the Void. The separation procedure has begun. The system started counting from 10, but a disconnection error occurred, and therefore the process was stopped. The little pink creature was running at full speed somewhere, shouting that it was all over with them. It flew over their bodies, saying that if anyone had remained alive, she would have created a new team, but everyone died. If the entire mission team is destroyed, the guide will be recalled by the Void Heaven Temple. After the recall, the birth of Nui's self-awareness will definitely be revealed. She has just interrupted the separation process. The Void Heaven Temple will soon be connected again. Gao Meow approached her, asking if he could ask her a question. She just irritably said not to disturb her thinking, but suddenly I realized what had just happened. She was very surprised because the characters in the films cannot see her. To which he replied that she is so striking, how can you not notice her? Gao Meow waved his hand irritably, asking who she called the character. She just smiled, saying that he wouldn't catch her because all the guides of the Temple of the Void of Heaven are inviolable, even physically. He easily grabbed her with his hand and said with a smile that he had caught her. And then questions started pouring in. He asked what her relationship was with those four, what the Temple of the Void of Heaven was, whether this was really the world of cinema, how they passed into this world, what would happen if he left this world, and the like. She immediately refused. Gao Meow, hearing this, only threatened that he would kill her if he didn't tell her. She said that she knew he was a traveler and must be from the main world. It's no wonder he can see and touch Nui. He's not local. Now Nui is saved. Everything he wants to know about Nui, she can tell. But it is too late. The Temple of the Void of Heaven will soon be connected with Nui again, so he must flee from this world. After all, when they arrive, they will definitely pay attention to him, as a person from the realm of the Void who has reunited the mission team. His secret will be impossible to hide. The Void. Heaven Hall's attitude towards all the world's top travelers is to kill every single one of them. He cannot underestimate the Void Heavenly Hall just because he was able to destroy the Iron Banner team. Gao Meow is only at the 4th level of strength, and only dominates this world. He looked at her skeptically, saying that he had heard about the levels. Does she think he will come with her? Gao Meow looked at the sky. A great crisis will soon come, the likes of which have never been and will not be. He wasn't sure he should trust this dragon. Taking her by the cheek, he said that he believed her. If she told him everything he wanted to know, then he would take her with him from this world. But suddenly I realized, Gao Meow is not capable of leaving this world. Can't she see? He already asked her how she was going to leave. He is also there for some reason. To which Nui happily said that he couldn't do this on his own, but he could do it together with her. Gao Meow asked her to tell her how it would all work. She replied that she would be deprived of all the power of the Heavenly Void Hall. Otherwise, she would be found wherever she fled. However, after depriving these abilities, Nui's consciousness will remain only for a second, or even less. He must be branded with Nui consciousness within 1 second. He looked at her in bewilderment and asked how he could get her mark of consciousness. Nui replied that she would actively rush at him in order to merge into his soul. This is harmless and amounts to a connection to his soul, which will not affect him in any way. She suddenly burst into tears, saying that if he accepts the mark of Nui's consciousness, then he is the owner of Nui. The dragon asks not to give up on her, because otherwise she will be completely destroyed. Gao Meow agreed, telling her to start her show. Moreover, he was confident that he could hide as far as possible if he felt danger. Nui had a strange feeling about this guy. The stigma of the girl's consciousness could only last a second, and if he refused, it would be the end. Well, she doesn't have time to think anyway. He spread his hands to the side, confidently telling her to read. Closing her eyes, she shouted the Nui spell, starting to glow. Gao Meow covered his eyes with his hand because of the glow of the dragon. The Heavenly Void Hall began to connect again, reporting that the error was being corrected and the connection procedure was continuing. Nui tearfully asked not to reject her when she flew at the guy. He stood confidently with his arms outstretched. There was no sense of threat coming from her, and it seemed that the little fat dragon really wasn't lying. She even laughed out of happiness through her tears. Her consciousness connected with Gao Meow's soul, causing sparkling streaks to emanate from him. Now there is a small glowing ball in his chest. Gao Meow said in surprise that he felt as if something was attached to his soul. She suddenly appeared from that ball and joyfully said that she was alive. But at that very second, she became alarmed and said that they needed to get out of here as quickly as possible. The guy calmly said that since she called him master, then everything worked out. In response, Nui said that he had destroyed the team that was undergoing the mission, and the Temple of the Void of Heaven would conduct a deep scan of the world. This would reveal something special about the owner. They should leave before that happens. This time, looking seriously at the dragon, he asked how he could leave. It is not surprising that the feeling of crisis, as if the end of the world had come, has not yet dissipated. She replied that the owner is able to travel from the main world to the imaginary one. He has the ability to travel, but he cannot use it on his own. Nui can help him reactivate this ability. He asked her to hurry up because he had a feeling that the Void Heaven Hall she mentioned would be here soon. The feeling of crisis becomes heavier and heavier, as if a mole meets a huge dragon. He can't afford to stay here. She again took on a serious look, and raising her paw, said that she understood. Gao Meow asked her to wait. He wants to take the clothes of those 4 guys. They were wearing good things. Nui worriedly told him that this was not necessary. She says that all the things on them were exchanged with the Void Heaven Temple, which has the mark of the Void Heaven Temple. If he takes it with him, then their escape will be pointless. The Void Heaven Temple can discover them at any time. Hearing that things could not be taken away, Gao Meow became noticeably upset. She glowed again and became covered with a blue glow, saying that she was activating the owner's ability to travel. It seems that something was activated in Gao Meow's body, as he also became covered in a blue glow. She asked if he was ready. The guy replied yes. In response, she told him not to be too surprised. After these words, a visual blue ball covered them. While in space, Nui said that he forgot to say that the ability itself chooses which world it will move to. Gao Meow said with a sigh that it doesn't matter. Then she said with admiration in her eyes that his ability was unique. It had actually been replaced by a rare existence. And as long as he hides it properly, it is almost impossible for the virtual heavenly hall to find them. Nui said that they had arrived at the place. They appeared in a pink virtual room. Already changed and dark-haired, Gao Meow entered the room, asking what this place was. Taking the dragon by the cheek, he said that she was going to go on a journey to some new world. Why did they appear there? Nui said that he will find out everything through the system. And indeed, at the same moment, a system window appeared. It reported a movie called Dead Witch. And the description, the three of them defeated the tree demon and the mountain demon king, who wanted to marry Xiao. And as a result, lovers and the deader ghosts became family. Gao Meow asked what kind of plot this was. She replied that this was a general introduction to the world. Moving closer to the system board, he read, "Beautiful woman with a demon soul, Ning and Xiao. It was like an Earth movie based on the Liaozhan dynasty. Gao Meow had seen it but had very little memory of the plot. He turned to the dragon, asking why they were back in the world of cinema. She replied that it was not a film, but a world that was only an imaginary world. The basic world is also called the real, in contrast to the imaginary world in chaos. While she was explaining everything to Gao Meow, the system display showed an hourglass that was lying horizontally. Many works of art and literature in the main world, including films, exist in worlds. All this was born from the inspiration of an imaginary world that influenced people. Looking at the introduction that the system showed, he wondered if this meant that the Earth belonged to the side of the main world. Gao Meow asked Nui if she could do anything if he wanted to return to Earth. The dragon calmly said that his ability is to travel to a random world. At the very last moment, they can find out where we will end up. Perhaps if you're lucky, the next transition will be to land. But it is also possible that after 100 trips, they will not get there. Hearing the last sentence, the guy was shocked. If he wants to come back, he will have to work hard to increase his life expectancy and earn virtual resources. After all, every time he activates the travel ability, he needs to consume virtual resources. He asked what kind of virtual resources, to which Nui replied, "A virtual resource is the unique energy of the virtual world. It can only be used in the virtual celestial hall. But Nui, being a being of the Void Heaven Palace, also has this ability. She says that when he enters the world of Demon Jin, Nui will help the owner." After so many years of staying in the Hall of Empty Heavens, Nui had used up 2 resources, and now only the last one remained. Gao Meow crunched his fingers, saying that he needed to start. He would get as many resources as possible. He suddenly noticed his reflection in this pink mirrored room. He had already forgotten what he looked like on Earth. He again became the same as before the transition. Nui said that this is because the owner's ability to travel is not just travel. Rather, it is a very rare phenomenon. Once Gao Meow's power is activated, he's sent to a random world, and if he replaces any of the characters, the original's power will be retained. For example, this happened to Owen from the After the End series of films. As for the rest, both body and soul, they will be replaced by the form of the owner. This change allows the world to recognize that the character's name is Gao Meow. Even travelers like the Iron Banner enter the world with distorted perceptions. He travels to a new world to take the character's place. The character that was replaced in the previous world is then compressed and stored in the guy's existence. And as a rule, it can no longer be used. But with Nui as an informational life form, she can make it so that he can use it once again. Thus, the character of the previous world is transformed into a virtual account. The owner can replace himself with that character again with just a thought. Of course, Gao Meow can also set a transformation spell so that he can quickly change his character. Hearing the description, for some reason he remembered the series about the Winx fairies. Throwing the picture out of his head, he said out loud that it would be better if it didn't work like that. Such things don't really matter. Now they need to rush to the evil soul world to earn virtual resource. Nui told him to get ready because she was opening a portal. She began to say something, and small lightning bolts appeared around her. Opening spell, she did great. She happily said that everything was ready. Gao Meow asked her where that place was after all. Nui replied that this was the Void Room that she secretly created using a virtual resource when she was working in the Heaven Void Hall. She has no way of penetrating the world and can only remain on its surface. The guy asked why it was also disgustingly pink, and if there was a way to change it. The dragon replied that the room can change shape and style as the owner wishes. Gao Meow says that the Void Room is a terrible name. How about Gao Meow's harem? No, it's too long, maybe Crystal Palace. He asked why Nui's aesthetic was so weird. Why did she make her pink? Suddenly it occurred to him that it was possible that she was a female dragon. To which Nui squeaked. A sweet girl in a white robe was covered in abrasions and wounds from the thorny vines that held her. Even in this situation she managed to resist. The girl sharply told the old witch to kill her. She would not listen to her. Suddenly the light hit the witch, and Gao Meow was transported there, who immediately began to be entwined with vines. He successfully replaced the witch's body, taking on her appearance. The role replacement was successful, but why is he a druid witch? It even changed his gender. Well, fortunately, this is a druid sorceress and not a witch. At least he can do that. But his body feels much weaker. He no longer has the boundless energy that he felt in the previous world. Nui said that his existence token can only be registered in one account role at a time, because the dryad's energy is only in the early stage of the third energy level, which is much less than Owen's. That's why he feels this way. This old dryad has been practicing for 600 years, but is still only at the third energy level. Or he could take Owen's form. And why should they open a new account when they have Owen's account that they don't use? Nui immediately rejected this idea, because such a thing would entail a very severe punishment. Gao Meow felt as if the heavens were the immune system, and they were the invading pathogens of cancer cells. Well, even if his words sound strange, he may well perceive it that way. The guy understood one thing. In every new virtual world, they must do as those wimps did. Nui replied that yes, those who were once on Team Steel Flag easily transferred to Team Dark Blue Stars, and nothing happened to them. This is because the Palace of Emptiness covers the heavens. If Nui spends the virtual source, it can deceive the heavens for some time. But they are there to get some virtual resources because they don't have any. In the original, the dryad fights Xiao 5 times. Winning was simply the protagonist's luck, even if he thought he had the ability. As long as he doesn't get involved with the Black Mountain Demon King, there shouldn't be any serious problems. Since Nui was not visible, it looked as if Gao Meow was talking to himself. Ni Xiaoqian thought, this old monster has been talking to himself since he started begging and waving his arms. Is he really thinking about cruel punishment against them again? Suddenly, Gao Meow saw a white-haired girl in front of him, and after coming to his senses a little, he asked if she was Ni Xiaoqian. He abruptly approached her and began to tell her that she was so beautiful that even a ghost could not compare. The druid told her to get up from the floor. She would get sick. With his actions, he greatly alarmed the girl. She immediately recoiled from him, saying that he was an old monster. The girl asked what cruel punishment he meant by telling him to stop pretending to be nice. This left the guy in a little shock, but he quickly came to his senses, remembering that he was now in the body of a druid, which is why Ni Xiaoqian hates him so much. She stared at him with hostility, waiting to see what he would do. Gao Meow stands face to face with all these beautiful poor ladies, and his reaction is not as harsh as Owen's, which made the guy happy. After this, when he faces beautiful girls in battle, his combat effectiveness will no longer be so weakened. All the captive girls basked in the hot spring while Gao Meow sat in the middle of them all, leaning on the side. This small bottle of green liquid is made from the purest sap extracted by a druid from the roots of 1,000-year-old trees, and it contains extremely powerful life force. It has excellent healing effects on body and soul, and is truly very valuable. Although using this to heal the wounds of these girls seems like such a waste of resources. But what can he do? The wizard treasures these girls very much, and there is no other way. In order to restore relations with these ghost women and make his task easier as a dryad, he must sacrifice some things. Nui, who was also basking in the spring, asked the owner, "There are so many ghost women here, not to mention the fact that they are all naked, and he is free to ask them for anything. Doesn't he have at least the slightest temptation?" To which he replied to her that of course he was tempted, but she must remember that he must be a gentleman. If they didn't start it, he definitely wouldn't force it on them. Hearing his answer, Nui thought that it was possible that the owner was a eunuch. Gao Meow suddenly noticed that she was swimming and asked that if she wasn't a messenger, why could she swim? She replied that even though she couldn't enjoy things in the virtual world, including this hot spring, Nui still loved to swim. He grabbed her by the scruff of the neck, asking that didn't she say that they would use the path of the gods to help him find a virtual resource? Why are they still not doing anything? She replied that she also didn't know anything. The gods would use special means to convey the basic rules of the world, and create a task that would help them obtain virtual resources, which Nui was just trying to use using the same method. 2 girls swam up to him saying that they could serve him. Yet acts of kindness are still effective. The life of this dryad is much better than in the previous world, but it would be better if the most beautiful of them were as noble as these 2. Suddenly their eyes met across the entire source, which surprised them both. There was some kind of strange fog around the temple, which obviously no one had been in for a long time. A man and a ghost. Ning Kaichen and the ghost woman Liu Xiao entered the temple. Now that they are officially husband and wife, they go meet his righteous brother Yan. In an abandoned temple, Yan Xiao was sitting on the floor. He said that since she does everything that the dryad orders, and everyone she kills is adulterers. Since he is not an overly critical person, he will not drive her out. The girl fell to her knees before him, saying that besides her, there were other female ghosts who were threatened by the dryads, and who were being held captive in the palace of the tree wizard, hoping for the compassion of the monk to save them. To which he said that in the temple of Lanuro there are countless souls, and among them there are innocent ones. He wants to avenge their deaths and kill the dryad. Then Ning Kaichen spoke up, saying that Yan Xiao had already fought the dryad several times, and each time it ended in a draw. How can he be so sure this time? He replied that he had been improving his physical and spiritual strength and abilities since childhood. Right now he's at the pinnacle of cultivating his ki power, and if the dryads fight him again, he will have every chance. But if he comes closer to him, he will die. He won't give the dryad a chance to cast a spell. The tree governess's palace was built by a dryad witch on a 1,000-year-old extraordinary tree. It is an ancient tree, a long-lived xenogeneic tree with extraordinary properties. It can imbue Gao Meow with its power. He approached the tree, putting his hand on it. The guy said that he should try it. He called upon the power of the dryad, and balls of light glowing green appeared around him. A green sprout appeared on his forehead. It's a really nice feeling. The original dryad has 600 years of demonic power. After borrowing 30% of this tree's power, he now has 900 years of demonic power. It turns out that he just needs another 100 years to become the Demon King. Gao Meow cannot find anything related to the energy level system in the dryad's memory, but he has found another type of energy system. In other words, as long as he doesn't get involved with a few strong characters from the original film, he can do whatever he wants. With a smile, he released rays from his hands that rushed in all directions. Gao Meow laughed, saying that this is what it's like to become a magician. The demon's power seems to be inexhaustible, which is cool. He must figure out a way to improve the dryad's strength, so that in the future he can use Owen for close combat, and the dryad for long-range battles. The captive female ghosts ostentatiously admired him. Because their bone ashes are still in his hands, they are forced to obey his orders. Ni Xiao silently looked at all this as if waiting for something. Suddenly, a sound that appeared out of nowhere deafened the maidens. This is the Sanskrit sound of Taoism. The Taoist priest with deep Taoism is coming. Gao Meow shouted to them not to panic and to hide in the palace. Nui said that the only Taoist priest who could appear there around this time would probably be Yan Xiao. The ghost women in the palace flocked to Ni Xiao in a group. They asked what happened and whether they succeeded. One of them said that it seems like the dryad recently changed his character. He's now not so hateful. The second one answers her that don't let her be misled by the dryad's momentary behavior. Ni Xiao said that a few days ago, she went to the Lanuro temple and found a Taoist priest there, and then tricked her into coming to the dryad and exorcising the demon from him. The old monster apparently found out about this and whipped her, but she sent Xiao Qian away in advance, and she seemed to successfully bring him. The girls began to rejoice and pray for the priest, saying that when the dryad dies, they will be free. Ni Xiao used her ability to see what was going on in the palace. Yan Xiao arrived, making his presence known, and Ning Kaichen and his wife also came up behind him. Gao Meow greeted him respectfully, saying that he was looking forward to meeting him. The priest immediately headed towards him, walking easily, calmly walking towards the dryad. Gao Meow did not expect that he would immediately go on the attack. He also walked towards him, pushing off from the ground, saying that ruthless people speak so little. Yan Xiao grinned, saying that their strengths are equal, and he thinks that the Taoist is afraid of him. While unsheathing the sword, he said that he did not retreat to use his demonic magic, but Gao Meow fought him at close range. In an instant, making many movements, he struck the dryad from all sides. It seems that Gao Meow himself forgot that he is now in the body of a dryad. He subconsciously fought with him using the fighting methods of the previous world. He is too careless. Fortunately, he has the essence of the forest spirit on his body, which can heal his wounds. This time he learned his lesson and will now use spells from a distance. The couple who came along with the Taoist priest said that it was impressive that he was able to kill the dryad with one blow, which was expected of Yan Xiao. Nui just laughed at them on the sidelines because they don't even know how scary her master can be. The girls sitting in the palace had already begun to celebrate the victory over the dryad. But Ni Xiao said that this is not the end, since the magician has the essence of the forest spirit, which can heal his wounds. She shouted to the Taoist through the makeshift window that the old dryad would not die so easily. She told him to beat the magician until his bone ashes become dust and his soul dissipates. Throwing his sword back into its sheath, Yan Xiao said that the girl was right. Concentrating, he folded his hands into an imaginary seal. And instantly, dozens of glowing swords appeared in the air. And Xiao pointed all these swords at the old dryad. The collision with the dryad caused a huge explosion in the place where he lay. Having finished the attack, he returned his sword back to its sheath. The girls in the palace rejoiced that they were now free, as they had been before. Qian finally exhaled calmly, thinking that everything was finally over and the dryad was dead. But Xiao noticed that the demonic power of the dryad suddenly disappeared, and another terrifying qi appeared in its place. In the smoke after the explosion, the outline of a man appeared. Gao Meow realized that the girl had betrayed him and clicked on the card with Owen's image. And using the last virtual resource, he reincarnated into Owen's body, saying that now he will attack. Although outwardly Nui was happy for the master and supported him, in her heart she mourned the last virtual resource. The girls, who had apparently celebrated their victory, opened their mouths in shock. They could not believe that he had survived. Qian could not understand how he survived and why his body had changed so much. Ning Kaichen's wife suddenly felt very hot. Her husband encouraged her, saying that there had never been such a thing when Brother Yan did not win. Nui was proud of the fact that even the Iron Banner team did not defeat the master, and they were just characters, no matter what. Xiao at the same time thought, this qi actually hid his demonic power, but how could a dryad have such strong qi? And his appearance changed. Gao Meow, feeling again the power of the previous world, said that they should fight again. And as the Taoist did, he was the first to run towards him, pushing off the ground with force. The Taoist priest realized that he had become many times faster, since Gao Meow instantly appeared right in front of him. But without being confused, he again began to strike with his sword, and apparently he didn't see where the dryad had gone, but he ended up next to him, hitting him in the face. While the priest was flying away from his blow, Gao Meow shouted that he was not afraid of hand-to-hand combat. Having come to his senses, Xiao took out his sword and brought it into the ground, stopping and at the same time holding himself on the ground. He once again uses the ability of many flying swords. Seeing the swords flying at him, Gao Meow realized that he had used them again. But it's no use, because this isn't the first time he's blocked spells with his physical body. In response to his swords, he fought them off with his fists. Nui warned him that he had to do it quickly, because the virtual resource could only protect them for 3 minutes. Again rushing at the priest, he asked what other tricks the Taoist had. Standing on a sword stuck in the ground, he tried to create a spell, but the dryad was too fast. He would not have time to dodge. He finished with a spell that glowed with destruction. But Gao Meow was faster, breaking the resulting spell, at the same time hitting him in the chest. After him, only the sword remained sticking out in the ground, along with his partner. And Xiao himself was knocked out. It's good that at least he remained alive. Approaching, he asked him if he was alive, as if he would answer him. Touching his neck, Gao Meow said that fortunately there was still a pulse. As expected from Xiao, after receiving his blow directly, he did not die, but was only seriously injured. The ghost girls couldn't believe it, couldn't understand why the dryad suddenly became so strong. Qian, realizing horror, fell to her knees. This was the end. Xiao really lost. The dryad magician will never forgive them for this. Nui congratulated the master on the victory, until Ning Kaicheng, not realizing the loss, ran towards Gao Meow shouting that he would not forgive him. But apparently overestimating his strength, he tripped over a lying stone and fell. This Ning Kaichen studies so much that it has made him so stupid that he doesn't even think about our gap in strength. In the palace, the incense burner exhaled soothing incense. The green-haired girl sitting on her knees in front of him screamed that she did all this, and it had nothing to do with Ni. And considering how much Ni had done for the master, he could spare her. Gao Meow calmly watched as she tried to persuade him. If he remembers correctly, this Xiao King is just a minor character in the film. Maybe he provoked the discovery of a hidden plot? Or is it because his arrival changed the plot and led to Ni Xiaoqian being deceived? Ni Xiaoqian found it strange that she had the feeling that she had seen this man somewhere. But this is impossible. This scientist just read too many books and became a book idiot. Why should he seem familiar to her? The green-haired girl still begged him, saying that when he let Ni go, she would do whatever he wanted. Ning Kaichen looked at his wife. Xiao King treats him like this, and he is flirting with another woman at a critical moment. He has read so many holy books, but all in vain. Well, this demon of the Qian world seems to be developing in a strange way because of Gao Meow. He finally received a notification that the virtual resource mission had been launched. So, the mission is to steal Ni Xiaoqian's heart. Also, the amount of virtual resources will depend on the completion level. Steal her heart. Gao Meow was clearly not very confident in his strengths and chances. Well, frankly speaking, he doesn't understand women at all. But no matter how they look at it now, he is all macho, and more courageous than their Ning Kaichen. It won't be difficult to snatch Ni Xiaoqian from him. The girl still got her way, shouting that if he let young Ning go, she would serve him and do whatever he ordered. Then her husband joined the conversation, telling him not to harm women and children. Finishing, they say, This was all planned by him. He can kill him, but let Xiao King leave him alone. Gao Meow only clapped at his statement, saying that he was a man of character. They were surprised, not expecting to hear praise. He approached them, saying that he would never have expected to see such unwavering love in this inhumane society. He took the green-haired girl's hand as she tried to figure out what he was up to. He also walked up to Ning, taking him by the hand and saying that he was a good person. Gao Meow clasped their hands together, asking why they were resisting so much. He was not a demon, and vice versa, he strives to be a good demon among people. He said that he would not pay attention to the fact that he called a monk to kill him. He still recognizes Xiao King as his adopted granddaughter. Well, firstly, he needs to find a girl who will look after Ning so that he does not interfere with him pursuing Ni Xiaoqian. Gao Meow pointed at the guy, saying that as far as he was concerned, he would then become his demon grandfather, Gao Meow. Nui asked with a smile if he was trying to buy their favor. The incense burner was already exhaling the second incense stick. Gao Meow calmly said that now he and Ni Xiaoqian are alone there. Approaching her, he said that he remembered how during the battle with Yan Xiao, she said that he should burn all his bones to ashes in order to feel safe. The girl stared at him doubtfully. She knew that the dryad was still as vengeful as she remembered. Just now, when he interacted with Xiao King like this, she thought that he had changed forever for the better. She shouted loudly that it was all her. Considering the way he was acting now, even if she begged him, he wouldn't let her go so easily. She tried to attack him, shouting for him to die. Ghosts die when the lights go out. Even if they are scared, it is better to live a miserable life than to be beaten to death by this old monster. Gao Meow easily repelled her attack with his vines without bothering. With the help of vines, he lifted it a little above the floor. Ni Xiaoqian just shouted and asked why he couldn't die for the common good. She kept screaming, saying that even if she lost her soul in his hands today, one day he too would die at the hands of other monsters. Nui asked if she needed to look up the top 10 tortures in the database for him, to which he replied that this was not necessary, because he had a better idea. Gao Meow cheerfully asked the girl how she was, saying that if she couldn't take it anymore, she could safely beg. He would stop. Ni Xiaoqian squirmed all over when she could no longer laugh. Frowning and blushing, she said that she would not do it. Holding the pen in his hand, Gao Meow said with a smile that he had wanted to do this for a long time, and now the opportunity finally presented itself. He started tickling her leg again. The girl was already crying with laughter, saying that she admits her guilt. Well, be that as it may, now she knows what he can be like. Gao Meow asked if they would repeat the same mistakes next time. The vines let her go and she sank to the floor, saying that he was an old monster. She shouted that he was an old pervert and rushed off, so much so that only fog remained from her. Gao Meow only realized that she had escaped using her ghost ability. Nui asked him if he could really make Ni Xiaoqian fall in love with him. He replied that he didn't know, but if he had to fight, everything would be easy. But to become immersed in the thoughts of a woman? It's completely useless here. But he remembers one dramatic scene where men win the heart of a woman by tickling her feet. Well, if he could do it, then Gao Meow could do it too. The dryad was full of confidence. Ni Xiaoqian sat in her room, thinking how the old magician had changed. He didn't seem to beat her. But nevertheless, no matter what happened, this old monster is evil, and she hates him to death. Meanwhile, in the Black Mountain Temple, someone apparently found a loophole from the gods after so many attempts. He read, "A woman born in a lunar year, lunar month, lunar day. Her name is Xiaoqian." But as for the surname, where she came from and where she is now, he could not find out. Through the thunder and lightning, someone was heard saying that they would find her. In the dungeon, everything was the same as in an ordinary room, except for those vines that guarded the dungeon. Gao Meow walked up to her entrance, asking if Yan Xiao was there. Having entered inside, they sat around a table with delicacies. Then the Taoist priest asked who he really was. He asked why that day. The dryad had floating qi in her body while Gao Meow calmly devoured food. The dryad's memory reveals that while monsters can absorb qi and convert it into demonic power, it is absolutely impossible for them to possess qi, especially one as rampant as Owen's. Making a sly face, he asked the Taoist what he thought. He made a mistake when he replaced the witch with a dryad, but the good thing is that he can use this to deceive Yan Xiao. But it will be bad if he says too much, so instead of lying here, it is better to let Yan Xiao come up with a lie himself. Although the Taoist can feel his powerful demonic energy right now, he is clearly a dryad. But the monster would not have such strong qi energy. This kind of qi energy can ward off evil and spells. Only those martial arts generals who have killed many can possess such energy. He looked straight at the dryad, saying that someone like him has nothing to hide. So who is he? Gao Meow just smiled at this, saying that it doesn't matter who he is. Raising his index finger up, the magician said that he only needed to know 3 things. First of all, this is all this man's plan. And secondly, he is his comrade, not his enemy. And thirdly, he will control his own destiny, not allowing heaven to decide everything for him. Whether he is human or demon, what he sees does not count. And as for the cell door, the dryad will leave it open. Once Yan Xiao has dealt with this, let him come out himself. Is he a man or a demon? If he is human, why does he have such demonic power in his body? His ancient Taoist book had a similar situation. Once upon a time, there was a Taoist who went to Tongshuan and took possession of the body of a demon, sneaked into the enemy camp and beheaded the demon king. Nui asked, Yan Xiao is just a character. Why is he so polite to him? To which he replied that at the moment, they did not have a single virtual resource left to block the skies. Once he transforms into Owen, they will face the wrath of heaven. And even though Yan Xiao is currently injured, his current strength is no weaker than his dryad form. And whether it is collecting a virtual resource or strengthening the power of a dryad, he assumes that they will stay in this world for a long time. Is it not better to have more friends with such strength than to have more enemies who can threaten him? Even a 3-year-old child can figure this out. Even though he has no idea what story Yan Xiao came up with until he became his enemy, everything is fine. And 3 days later, guests came to him. One with wings, the second with horns, and the third with a tail instead of legs. Gao Meow said that as he remembers, there are still a few years left before the Heavenly Demon's tea party, and the scene is clearly not his palace. But this clearly wasn't the case in the original. Is it because he caused the butterfly effect and changed the plot? Even in Nui's database, although there are records of these monsters, no such stories are recorded. Ling, 900 demonic years old, said that he heard that the fourth brother had countless gorgeous female ghosts. And where there are beautiful women, there he is. Menkut, 900 demonic years old, said that he simply goes where elder brother Ling goes. And the ghost tale, 900 demonic years, said that he had not visited her 100 years ago, so she had to call her elder brother and second brother to come visit him in person. Among the monsters, weak and strong, the dryad relied on gifted strength to match them, and barely reached 900 years of demonic strength. By nature, dryads are weak, and since they are plants, they cannot move, so they can only stay in the dark forest where the tree palace is located. Compared to the 3 monsters, bird, bull, and snake, the original owner is far away from the Demon King. And usually, they mocked her. And suddenly visiting Gao Meow, they must have had bad intentions. Is it because he revealed Owen's form in the fight with Yan Xiao? But at that time, no one outside witnessed this. At that time, Xiao Qian and the others were in the palace. And the palace can block the Qi energy to prevent the female ghosts from being burned and killed by the Qi energy during the daytime. Therefore, at that time, they could not notice the boundless Qi energy on his body. As for Xiao King, she had been with Ning Kai-cheng since that day, so there was no way for her to tell them. Ling suddenly spoke, saying that as he knows, his brother has always loved beauties. As he said this, the ghost girl who was pouring him a drink began to tremble. He used his demonic energy to throw the girl away, injuring her in the process. In feigned sadness, he put his hand on the table with a clap, saying that he had taken the most beautiful one for himself. After asking if he was looking down on him, he pointed the utensils directly at Xiao Qian while she could not move. But Gao Meow interrupted his attack, saying that he was on his territory. He beat his ghost, and he also wants to hurt Xiao Qian, the most beautiful girl in his palace. Standing in front of Ni, he covered it with his hand, saying that the winged one was quite impudent. He is already attacking him, as expected. They came with bad intentions. But it happened so quickly that he didn't even need to play any role. He shouted to the girls to hide away and not interfere. Ling looked at him seriously, saying that judging by his words, he wants to become his enemy. The snake girl said that she smelled the scent of some disgusting Taoist priest in the tree palace. The bull immediately pulled out his weapon, saying that he hated Taoist priests most of all. Meanwhile, Xiao King, sitting with her husband, asked why the hall suddenly became so noisy. Yan Xiao noticed something strange. It was not for nothing that the priest. Suddenly, something broke through the wall into the room they were in. The head of Menkut appeared in the improvised passage, who nevertheless found them. He only noticed a Taoist priest and a handsome mortal scholar. Although Yan Xiao drew a hidden aura spell on himself, his brother and his wife's arms, they still found them. This is bad, because he has not regained his strength yet, and he is definitely no match for that monster. The bull, meanwhile, was already squeezing through the hole that he had created. But suddenly the vines wrapped around Menkut's neck, and Gao Meow said that since he was a guest, he should not behave like such a pig. Pulling the vines, he threw him away from the entrance to the priest, saying that as a guest, he must follow the rules, and if he did not give him permission to touch anything, then he should not do it. The snake and the winged one asked why he hides a mortal and a Taoist priest in his palace. So you also fight for them. He was asked if he wanted to explain everything to them, to which he replied that he was simply bored and he caught two mortals to play with them. They came to wreak havoc everywhere as if they were looking for something. The bull asked if he wanted to die since he hit him. Moreover, he does not know how many brothers died at the hands of this Taoist priest, but he must die today. The snake said with a smile that that scientist looked good, so why not give him to her? Ling also chimed in, saying that the Black Mountain Demon King issued orders to kill such people. A Taoist can drive away demons and ghosts. A scholar reads holy books and has an aura of righteousness. But if Gao Meow gives him the woman behind him, he can ask the Black Mountain Demon King to forgive him. Otherwise, once the Demon King becomes enraged, no one will be able to protect him from him. Xiao said that later, if he has the opportunity, he will go and help the dryad with these 3 demons, and they both need to take care of themselves. Use the Black Mountain Demon King to intimidate Gao Meow. The wrong one was attacked. Putting his hand on Xiao Qian's head, he said that he would not let them get her, to which she responded that she did not need his protection. Having activated the ability to control the vines to the fullest, he said that he would not give up any of them, even if the Black Mountain Demon King himself came. Opening his fan, Ling asked what even if the Black Mountain Demon King came. He said even if he has reached 900 years of demonic power with his natural talent, isn't he too arrogant? Ling said that as a real 900-year-old demon, he should teach him to be a good demon. The bull also bared his teeth, saying that he should have let him have a good time and not let his brother beat him up for nothing. The snake also joined the conversation, saying that he should think carefully. The power he borrowed is not his own after all. He will not be able to stay in the palace for the rest of his days. Gao Meow just chuckled. The strength of the dryad is now the 1st level, but if you leave the area of the tree, he will become as before. The dryad has always been the weakest in this group of demons due to his character. Then Nui flew up to the mortals, saying that even if they did not hear her, they should not blame her for not warning them, so that they had better get out of the way while they could. Pointing his vines at them, he said that he had angered the wrong demon. Hitting them at the place where Lin stood while he was dodging, he asked how he dared to do this to him. Having repelled his attack with his weapon, the bull asked if the dryad wanted to fight the 3 of them alone. And the snake barely had time to jump away when vines pierced the place where she was standing. She said that this was stupid. Xiao Qian thought about it. The tree demon is the weakest, and is afraid of everyone. In the face of these big demons, he didn't dare to resist at all. So why was he so bold today? Gao Meow took on his full dryad form and a mark appeared on his forehead. Gathering the vines into a huge skein, he raised his fist to strike the winged one. Ling also used his full form, shouting that he attacked him first. 3 demons may be the best of all worlds, but the 3 of them are united, and each of them has their own little scheme in their heads, so that Gao Meow can defeat the 3 of them in turn. The tree demon now has 900 years of demonic power, so it is too much for Lin to handle. Even if he was able to defeat him, he would be severely injured and die. Although this Taoist priest's essence was weak, and he seemed to be seriously injured, his eyes are full of spirituality, and he is definitely a person of profound Taoism. Not to mention his 2 best buddies are still there, watching. Even if the 3 of them joined forces, they would be able to kill the tree demon. But of all 3, at least one of them will die. Ling, understanding the situation, pacified his nature, asking why start wars between brothers. The 2 quickly agreed with him, saying that they could just discuss everything. Making a makeshift hand out of vines, Gao Meow boldly stared at them, asking if they were afraid of him now. But it's too late. They attacked the wrong person. The dryad still pointed his hand from the vines at the bull. The bull bared his teeth, saying that he was not afraid of him, and since the dryads did not want a truce, he suddenly began to run away, shouting at the end that he had urgent business, so he would return and talk to him after he finished his business. The snake also left, saying that it had had enough for today, and Lin said that he would go and asked if the 2nd brother needed help. They immediately retreated from his palace to faraway places. Landing on the ground, the winged one said that it looks like he was right, and there are treasures in the palace. The bull said that he never thought that the tree demon would ever have the courage to stand up to them. He came there because this guy said that there were treasures in the palace, but he was just a scholar and a Taoist priest, so they didn't need to go to extreme measures. The snake replied that if they could capture them, the Black Mountain Demon King would reward them. Ling must have some other plans that she doesn't know about. His uncle told him that the Black Mountain Demon King was looking for a woman named Xiao Qian, who was born on a cloudy day in a cloudy month, and in a cloudy year. Today's female ghost has a strong aura of pure ki, so it's most likely her. The bull was annoyed, saying that it seemed that the dryads had eaten something wrong, changing their character and daring to go against them. Ling slammed his fan and said that they are all wise demons. He thinks that if he persuades them to unite with him and kill the tree demon first, of course they will refuse. After all, the tree demon has the power to kill one of them. Pointing to the mountain with his fan, he said that if they were to seek other great demons under the Black Mountain Demon King, their share of merit would be limited. He proposes to go to the territory of the White Toad King and find some good demons with whom he can form an alliance so that they can attack the palace together. They can promise to give them all the lands, riches, and magical treasures in the palace without taking anything after that. And take the ghost girl, scientist, and priest for yourself. The snake said that this was a great idea, but she realized that the winged one knew something that they did not know. As for the bird, he only wants these beautiful ghost girls. The bull responded, saying that if the third sister agreed, then he agreed. Nui congratulated the master on his victory, to which he said that this was not a victory at all. He fought against 3 weaklings. He rather lost because he could not destroy them. And judging by the data that Nui has, they will come to take revenge on him. Especially this Qi Ling. He tortured the ghost woman for a whole week because she disobeyed his order once. They will definitely want to take revenge on him. But Gao Meow only smiled, saying not to worry, because he was already ready for this. An indignant Zhao Qian walked down the corridor, saying that she had cooked a whole bowl of soup from old snails, redbird, snaketail, and even added some old bark to it. But the sisters had already eaten. Xiao King is always with her husband, and cooks for herself, and the Taoist priest focused on his cultivation, and also cannot taste his soup, but she also does not want to throw it away. And if you think like that, then the only one who can taste her soup is Gao Meow. According to the information heard by Xiao King, it is likely that the dryad was possessed by someone, and the one who is now in the dryad's body is most likely a great monk, which is why he became so kind. In any case, she made the soup to express her gratitude to him for protecting her from Qi Lin. But if she still gave him soup despite how he treated her before, wouldn't that look weird? Gao Meow says that he heard that when a girl wants to repay a guy for his kindness, but he is ugly, she will be his slave in the next life. But if he is handsome, then she will devote her entire current life to him. This time, he saved Ni Xiaoqian, and will soon obtain the virtual source. Suddenly they met their gaze, and it was as if a spark passed between them. The girl says that she shouldn't misunderstand her. She didn't cook it for him. She just didn't want to throw it away. Nui laughingly said that it seemed to her that Xiao Qian was becoming some kind of tsundere. To which Gao Meow answers her that he thinks that he has almost already won her heart. He tasted the first spoon of her culinary masterpiece, and she turned to him asking how he liked it. Suddenly the dryad felt something strange, so he frowned. Shouting that there was poison in there, he quickly spat out the soup on the floor. Gao Meow seriously turned to her, asking what he had done to her that she decided to poison him. Pushing the plate of soup out of his hands, she screamed, saying that even if it wasn't tasty, why was he trying to humiliate her? As I thought, I should have just poured it out. Having shouted, she left, puffing to herself about something. The dryad didn't understand what was wrong. Why did she, instead of falling in love with him, only begin to hate him more? To which Nui said that maybe she is a bad cook. He replied that it was quite possible because she had no reason to poison him. The color of the soup was pure white. The smell was amazing, but when he tasted it, it felt like a knife was cutting his throat. A hammer was hitting his lungs. Xiao Qian better be a poison master. Nui encouraged him, telling him not to be discouraged, because even if he could not get her heart to get a virtual resource, they could still increase the power of the dryad. There was no need to be afraid of these 3 big demons. Nui cheerfully said that she had already checked the details of these 3. In the epilogue of the original story, Yan Qijia and Ning Kaicheng defeated the dryad and took Ni Xiaoqian with them. The Black Mountain Demon King became angry at this and ordered the 3 great demons to return Ni Xiaoqian to him. When the 3 great demons fought together, even Yan Qixia could not defeat them, and he escaped, getting injured. Yan Qixia fled to a closed area called the Thread Pool, where there is a divine spring called the Spirit Thread Source. After immersing himself in a body of water filled with pure spirit, Yan Qixia's cultivation progress increased significantly. He was able to break through the spirit refinement stage to the void stage, and became comparable in strength to a 1,000-year-old demon king. There are many immortal zombies around the Thread Pond, which even the great demons could not get rid of completely. They couldn't find out if there was anything else there that was more dangerous or something useful, so they called it a restricted area. But since they know everything in advance, they know what the source of the reservoir can do, as well as the weaknesses of the zombies. They should get there before the rest. Noticing that the master was suspiciously quiet, she asked if something had happened. He immediately replied not to worry. He was fine. Crunching his fingers, he said with a serious face that it would be nice to get rid of those 3. The dragon only wished him luck. Returning a calm expression to his face, he said, "Let's go." She asked where, to which he replied that they should look for Yan Qixia, because as soon as he leaves the palace, those 3 will definitely take advantage of this to take Xiao Qian and the others. Moreover, he only had 600 spiritual energy left, and he might die near the pond. Therefore, it is better to entrust the protection of the palace to Yan Qixu. While playing with the priest, Gao Meow asked if he really wanted to play chess with him today. Yan Qixu said that the dryad was willing to kill those demons for him and his brother, and he realized that Gao Meow was not so ruthless. He also asked who was the great monk who possessed him. Gao Meow smiled, taking a pawn from the board. He said that the Taoist was not stupid, but very arrogant. He said that he would tell about this sometime later. He still wouldn't understand. There's no point in telling. Demon Qian never talked much about this world. How could he know the names of famous monks? The priest agreed, asking if with his abilities he would have easily dealt with those demons. Why did he allow them to escape? And again, there is no point in telling him about this. He will give him a little hint if you eat the enemy's cart, horse, and cannon. It does not mean that you have already won. The main thing is to kill the general whom they are protecting. Then it will be a victory. 3 demons who do not even have 1,000-year reserve of spiritual energy. He does not need to waste his strength on them. Yan Qixu stood up in shock that Gao Meow was going to kill the Black Mountain Demon King. Black Mountain Demon King. No matter whether he is opposed by a demon king with a 2,500-year reserve of spiritual energy, or a monk who is in the void spirit cultivation stage, none of them are his opponent. Among the people, the only people who could stand next to him were those great monks who had done something that shocked the whole world. The old men who had trained in solitude for thousands of years. Gao Meow plans to plot against the Black Mountain Demon King using his pawns. Looking at the dryad from the other side, he tried to understand who he was. He shouted and asked how he was going to kill the Black Mountain Demon King, to which he responded by saying that the Taoist rarely reacts so violently. Does he have any hostility towards him? He replied, "The Black Mountain Demon King is the strongest demon within a radius of 10,000 kilometers. He has dozens of great and small demons under his command, and he is like a general in chess. Killing this demon would be the same as killing thousands of demons." Strangely enough, if people like Yan Qixu find out about something like this, they will not be able to stay away. Therefore, Gao Meow asked him if he wanted to kill this king with him. If he hesitates even for a second, the dryad will crush him. Yan Qixu happily asked if he could kill the Black Mountain Demon King. But the Black Mountain Demon King has advanced demonic skills. Although he wants to join him, the feeling of fear does not leave him. Gao Meow calmly replied, although he is not afraid of the Black Mountain Demon King, but for some reasons he cannot leave the surroundings of the palace. He's like a general locked in a tower. At such moments, assistants are needed to help him get rid of some pawns. Yan Qixu will help him kill the Black Mountain Demon King, but he's still too weak, so he will give him the opportunity to become stronger. The essence of the forest spirit can heal all the wounds on his body. The other is a branch extracted from the dryad's body. It contains his consciousness, and it can be controlled by him, even if it is thousands of kilometers away from him. She will lead him to a place where the Taoist can become stronger, and if he passes the test that he prepared, he will be able to help him and kill the Black Mountain Demon King with him. He was severely injured by a regular demon blow, and he hasn't even recovered yet. He's really somewhat weak. Yan Qixu showed his respect by thanking him. The pool of thread is special, and its divine power should be enough for several people. Gao Meow would receive the same benefits as Yan Qixu, even if he was in the form of an ordinary branch. So not only will Yan Qixu become stronger, but besides, he will be grateful to the dryad as he will become much stronger. Nui praised him, saying that he was incredible. The same one, putting his hand on her head, said that if he had not told him the original plot and the secrets of the members of the Temple of the Gods, he would never have known what the thread pond was doing, so it was no less likely. A strange noise came from the Tsivu cave, and from it someone could be heard saying that they were reporting. The half-rooster reported to the king that the younger ones were watching the surroundings of the palace of the ruler of the trees, as ordered. Just an hour ago, the Taoist priest left the palace and headed west. The bull and the snake turned to him. The first asked why he came out so calmly. They should have set traps. They both suddenly remembered that to the west of the tree, there is a pond of thread. Yes, indeed, because there is a pond of thread there are not many of their demons in the western part. It's just that the thread pond is full of indestructible zombies. Even the Demon King doesn't know what's inside it. They both turned to Qiling asking what they should do. He replied that the letter calling for an attack on the tree ruler was sent to the White Toad Demon King and the Great Moss Demon. All that remains is to wait for the attack on the palace. The snake agreed with him, thinking, Qiling does not look like an interested priest, which means that it is not him that the Demon King needs. Since they lost the priest when the time comes, they will exchange the scholar for a reward from the Black Mountain Demon King, and it will be for the two of them. The bull also said that he agreed in any case after killing the dryad, he will take everything he sees. Meanwhile, Gao Meow conveyed through the branch what and how to do. He told him to attack the zombie at the stenting point. He did so. Others were struck at the acupuncture point by Yan Qixia by the ex-minister. These zombies have quite strong bodies that even Anjian and Mo cannot penetrate them. Probably only the Demon King or people at the Void Spirit cultivation stage can pass this test. The test he endured is so difficult that he has no idea how strong Gao Meow really is. Although he managed to kill these zombies. But it was all thanks to his tips. Yan Qixia thinks that he failed the task. But the dryad said that he exceeded his expectations. And according to the original story, it took Yan Qixia more than a month to find the weak points of the zombies and kill them. And Gao Meow simply immediately told him about the weaknesses of zombies, thanks to which he passed in just half a day. He told the priest that he had passed the test. This greatly surprised the Taoist. Portraying the old man, Gao Meow said that he passed the test that he gave him, and now he needs to go deep into the reservoir and use his chance to become stronger. Entering the pond, Yan Qixia relaxed after the fight with the zombies. Suddenly he felt power flowing through his body at great speed. Yan Qixia jumped out of the pond with a flourish, creating a large splash. He broke through and refined the spirit to the stage of emptiness. Now almost no one can defeat him. The priest noticed a strong vibration in the water, but he had already climbed out. So why is the water in the reservoir still shaking and even stronger than before? Suddenly, the same branch that the dryad had given him rose from the water, and it began to absorb water from the reservoir with great thirst. When Yan Qixia saw it, he realized that it was the elder. Having absorbed all the water, it dried up the reservoir and turned into a full-fledged tree. Gao Meow sucked up all the water in the reservoir at one time, and he became interested in who would benefit from this reservoir, for the demon or for the priest. The dryad says with joy in his voice that he has no idea how much his strength will increase when the branch returns to his body. He commanded Yan Qixia to leave his branch anywhere within a 200-kilometer radius of the palace, and it would automatically return to his body. Coming a little closer, he laid the tree on the ground as the dryad had said. Yan Qixia said that Gao Meow can leave those 3 demons to him, to which he replied that there was no need. The priest was confused. He asked that earlier, the magician didn't deliberately leave them alive so that he could deal with them. The dryad replied that he had indeed left them for him before. However, he has already proven himself in the pond. The disappearing branch appeared in Gao Meow's chambers, returning to him. Now he does not need to prove himself by killing them. Now he will kill these demons. It seems that it will be painful for them to die. Small demons flew scattering cherry petals, shouting that the great demon of the golden horn had arrived. The great demon of the heavenly elephant had arrived. The great demon of the black crow had arrived. The demons guarding the tent were talking among themselves. One said that the great demons have been discussing for 4 hours and should soon decide. The second one answers him that he does not know how the dryad from the palace of the ruler of the trees offended the demon kings. It seems that a hellish death awaits him. The first suddenly declares that they say that his palace is full of beautiful ghost girls, and he is not sure that he can get rid of them. The demon kings finally came to a decision, and one of them suggested drinking and celebrating the victory in advance. Their course of action is to attack the palace of the ruler of the trees, kill the dryads, and take away the beautiful ghost girls. Suddenly the earth began to shake very violently, and the demons did not understand what the problem was. The winged one stood up and asked what was happening outside. It was very noisy there. The demons guarding the tent tremblingly looked at something huge above them. A huge hand made of vines headed straight for the tent, thinking of just slamming it down. The guards screamed for everyone to run and save themselves, but the hand still easily slammed the tent, pressing it to the ground. The great demons were furious, not knowing who dared to attack them, not seeing enemies nearby. Gao Meow smiled vengefully, saying that they thought they would be safe if they were stationed 1,000 kilometers away from his palace. His characteristics increased significantly after swimming in the thread pond. After he took a dip in the pond, his demonic power increased to 900 years, and the leader of myriad trees increased its strength from 30% to 60% of an unusual tree. This means that he can already borrow 600 years of demonic power. The result is 1,500 years. The range of a dryad spell is equivalent to the strength of a demon. So, his current spell attack range is 1,500 kilometers. The winged one noticed that the huge hand was moving towards them again. After clapping such a hand on the ground, there was nothing alive left in that place. The elephant was furious that he dared to attack the 6 of them with just one hand. He activated his full elephant form, shouting that the dryads were underestimating them. But the next moment he was slammed by a huge hand made of vines. The bull and the snake were horrified. They did not understand when the dryad became so strong. Gao Meow, 1,000 kilometers away, with just one palm, he almost killed the heavenly elephant. The other demon kings became furious, shouting at the winged one because he said that the dryad was a weakling. The bull and snake immediately began to carry away their legs and tail as soon as they realized that the dryad had already become a 1,000-year-old demon king. Noticing their departure in English, Gao Meow said that his demonic power is infinite. It is the equivalent of an infinite strip of mana in the games. He can use the demon palm indefinitely. Everyone immediately began to run away, and the half-dead elephant also barely kept up with them. The dryad only had 600 years of demonic power, which means that his 1,000 years of demonic power was obtained through something unusual. The rhinoceros thought to run away first, and then find out about him. But not even a minute had passed before they saw that a whole flock of hands was moving towards them. And before they could escape from under them, their hands crushed them, leaving no wet trace. A dryad can kill his enemy 1,000 kilometers away, while using trees as his eyes and ears. If you do not burn these trees and escape beyond the reach of his magical powers, no matter how much you run, everything will be useless. Looks like the winged one is the smartest of their bunch. They bought him time. He managed to burn the trees and is now 2,000 kilometers from his palace. Now he is safe. False hopes, people. But the vines didn't care. They moved further towards him. The vines immediately tied the winged one so that he could not escape. Suddenly, a voice was heard from the vines that mocked him, saying that he really thought that he was safe if he was 2 kilometers away from him. Still, the second level of the leader of a myriad of trees, this is powerful. Ning could not move. A huge tree with arms and legs suddenly appeared in front of him. Gao Meow said that since he had not yet learned to use this power, he would become a lab rat for him. In addition to the power he received, he mastered many minor spells. Although they are not powerful, they are very useful, tree management being one of them. The tree control spell allows him to control trees whose demonic power is below him. Once he has reached 1,500 demon power, he can move into 1,000-year-old trees. This way, he won't be limited by his spell range and can use this tree anywhere, anytime. Then the winged one began to threaten him, saying that his aunt, one of the close associates of the Black Mountain Demon King, he could not kill him. But Gao Meow doesn't care. A wooden fist was already rushing towards Ning. The ghost girls ran to the dining room, because there was fried meat of demons who had 900 demonic power. Their flesh contains pure demonic power, and it is very nutritious. He not only killed Ning and other great demons, but also shared their demon meat with them. Gao Meow sat on the throne, and around him sat beautiful ghosts. After tasting the meat, Xiao admiringly said that everyone should eat it. Before he died, Ning said that he had what the Black Mountain Demon King needed. But he didn't have time to finish, and according to the original plot, what the Demon King wants is, of course, Xiao. The ghost girl asked him what he was thinking about as she gave him the meat on his fork. He suddenly got scared when he saw the girl's appearance. Gao Meow recoiled, asking what was wrong with her. They replied that they were female ghosts. They needed to constantly absorb yang energy from mortals, and combine yin and yang to maintain their ghostly body. And ever since the master forbade them from absorbing yang energy from mortals, they gradually became unable to maintain an ordinary body. The pink-haired girl told him not to worry, because even if their bodies are inferior, they can still serve him. He replied that it would be bad if sunlight accidentally hit them in this state. They would die instantly. He quietly asked Nui what could be done. She replied that according to the original story, the Dryad Witcher ordered the female ghosts to absorb yang energy to maintain their ghostly body. And later, after Yanqixia was killed by the Dryad, Xiao relied on Ning Kaicheng to replenish her yang energy while the ghost women were driven away by Yanqixia. His demonic body has no yang energy, and he cannot let them absorb the yang energy from Ning Kaicheng or let Yanqixia drive them out. And Owen's energy will be too strong for them, and they don't even have a virtual resource. The blue-eyed girl said that there is another way besides absorbing yang energy. She suddenly fell silent without finishing. The pink-haired girl told her not to talk nonsense. Gao Meow asked what the second method is, and if there is anything he can do. The same girl replied that if the 1,000-year-old Demon King could give them spiritual energy to replenish their ghost bodies and allow their bodies to transform into yin ghost bodies, then they would be able to escape danger. But the pink-haired girl interrupted her, saying that in order to allow an ordinary ghost body to become a yin ghost body, a huge amount of spiritual energy is needed. Even a 1,000-year-old Demon King would have to take months to recover from something like this. To which he confidently replied that there was no need to worry. He, as their master, possessed enormous magical power. His spiritual energy is restored continuously and endlessly. It will never be reduced to the point that he runs out. The brunette happily said that she knew that the master would help. The incense burner exhaled a soothing aroma. Gao Meow concentratedly poured his energy into the brunette. He's already filled with his yin energy. Her ghostly body can no longer contain his energy. Everyone was happy with what happened. When Xiao was indignant, did they have to sit so close? Rising, he told the girl that her body could not withstand so much spiritual energy at once, and therefore several more sessions would have to be performed. As a sign of gratitude, she kissed him on the cheek, saying that she loved him more than anyone. The other ghost girls also wanted to kiss him, and they all immediately needed his spiritual energy. Xiao hesitated, saying quietly, "They are all really not shy." Nui quietly asked the girl if he wanted to join them. Frowning, he turned away, asking if this monster's body could handle so many ghosts. Turning around, she said that she would come to him later, when he was finished. And when did she start worrying about Gao Meow? Night came unnoticed in the palace of the ruler of the trees. He stood smiling and said that it seemed like he had successfully made Xiao fall in love with him. Nui thought that it would be more difficult for Xiao to fall in love with such a girl, especially for someone like Gao Meow. Even if the master is good in all aspects, he should not have made her heart flutter so easily. To which he replied that she was not like other girls from his world. For them, you need to be rich and handsome, and you also need to be tall, have a good education, a house, a car, a lot of money. Here the girls are not so materialistic. The girls here are pure, and if you look good and saved her at least once, then consider her yours. But in fact, it's enough to just be handsome, and everything will be fine. Gao Meow concentrated again, pouring his energy into Xiao. Her body receives spiritual energy much better than the body of Xiao Shui and little Tianxiang. It seems that the first one to gain enough energy and transform into a yin body is her. Clearing his throat, he said that the moon was beautiful today and suggested we go for a walk. He agreed that absorbing moonlight would help her quickly obtain a yin body. She blushed and looking away agreed. Nui prompted him, saying that now is a great time when Xiao is in a good mood. This is a chance to make her fall in love with him. He also quietly replied that making him fight is normal, but making him run after a girl is not the same. He has never done this before. The guy doesn't even know what to say in such situations, so Nui is already looking for and reading about similar situations. Nui exclaimed joyfully, saying that she had found something. Looking at the virtual screen, he cleared his throat, drawing the girl's attention to him. And with a wide smile, he pointed to the moon, saying that the moonlight today is very beautiful. But the next moment, the moon was covered with clouds, completely covering it. This confused them because they clearly did not expect it. But Xiao Qian, blushing, replied that he was really beautiful. Nui was already happy, saying that the moon was definitely not visible now. But the girl still answered that way. Based on the data, receiving such a response means success, and the mission is most likely accomplished. Ning Kaicheng also walked at night under the beautiful moonlight. As he passed by, he saw that the light was still on in Xiaoqian's chambers. But he thought that if he came to her in the middle of the night, it would be very bad. Someone might see him. So he had better leave now. But suddenly he heard someone exclaim that the moon was visible again, and that the moonlight was simply beautiful. Nui looked at the mission panel, saying that with this attitude, Xiaoqian should have fallen in love. But for some reason, it shows that the mission is not completed. She said that maybe it's because Xiaoqian doesn't understand the beauty of moonlight, so she needs to try something different. Gao Meow suddenly took the girl by the shoulders, turning her to face him. She was already embarrassed by this. He asked her if he knew the speed at which cherry blossoms fall. Xiaoqian replied that she didn't know, and could anyone detect something like this? Nui asked how the girl could know this. Even she herself doesn't know what the connection is between the speed of falling cherry blossoms and making a girl fall in love with her. She blushed and said that if the old monster wants to know, then she will go find Sakura and find out. But the dragon still couldn't understand why the mission had not been completed yet. Had something really gone wrong? Ning Kaicheng stood right behind the tree, spying on them. Gao Meow invited her to enter into an agreement with the Lord of the Dark Flame, to which she asked who it was. He has already tried everything, TV shows, anime, and all sorts of movies, but no effect. It's too late to send Xiao Qian to her room. After Nui saw this shame, she thinks that either Xiao Qian's head is no longer cooking, or she has fallen too much in love with him. But the mission was still not completed. She asked why the master didn't just confess to her using the stolen lines. He replied that it wouldn't work. Someone once told him that love is a war, and the one who admits it first loses. And if this is a war, then Gao Meow has never lost, and will not lose this time. Yes, love is too troublesome. You need to think about war first, for example, that Black Mountain Demon King who tried to get Xiao Qian in the original story. Nui told him that she discovered that someone was spying on them, and it was Ning Kaicheng. He replied that he knew, and therefore covered him. And if he had not covered him, Xiao Qian would have noticed him long ago. But with his mortal body, at such a distance, he should not hear what they were talking about. But he seems to still be interested in Xiao Qian. He eavesdropped for half an hour and then fell asleep due to weakness in his body. A few days later, he called Ning Kaicheng to tell him something. Gao Meow said that since ancient times, love between humans and ghosts has been unacceptable to the world due to their different physiques, because problems may arise when they try to produce heirs. The guy asked if there was a way to save her, because now Xiao King is his god-granddaughter, he must help her. To which the dryad replied that, since he called him here, of course, he knows the solution. Pointing to the map, Gao Meow said that as he remembers, there is a karma temple 3,000 miles to the west. Inside the temple, there is a cleaning monk who has incredible power, and perhaps he can help them solve the problem. The dryad told him that he should go to the Temple of Karma. The target of the Black Mountain Demon King is Xiao, and they will have a battle here. But according to the original plot, in order to win the battle, he needs to obtain the treasure belonging to Ning, which can be obtained from the Karma Temple. Moreover, this guy is partial to Xiao, so he should send him out to spend more time with her and develop their relationship. Ning thought that except for the fact that the dryad is a little strange, he really is not evil. It seemed like it was true, what he and Yan Chixia thought. Some great monk had taken over the dryad's body. Besides, his past memories keep coming up lately. Going to the temple will help him relax. Arriving from the temple to the palace, Ning informed the dryad that he had not received the blessing of that monk. Gao Meow said that this is very strange. Since this monk is kind and compassionate, he should have no reason to refuse him. In the original story, Ning did not dare to let Xiao give birth to a child, and they accidentally ended up in that temple. And it was in this temple of karma that they were given a pair of Bodhi bracelets, where they recreated the body of Xiao with the blood and bones of Ning Each of these bracelets was inlaid with a Bodhi seed that had the power to restrain demons. It was thanks to these bracelets that Ning and Xiao were able to enter the final battle with the Black Mountain Demon King. Gao Meow said that it was originally an item made for Ning and the cleaning monk is just an NPC. Why couldn't he get this item? He suggested that it was possible that Xiao had to go with Ning to get it. Nui then suggested that why not let Ning and Xiao go there together, to which Gao Meow turned angrily at her and she fell silent. He said that no matter which two people receive Bodhi bracelets, they will be in harmony with each other and exchange blood and flesh. And since Ning cannot get it, then he will get it himself. He's just an NPC who gives treasure. Let's hope he doesn't refuse him. Now he was right in front of the entrance to the temple. He was ordinary on the outside, and at the entrance there were 2 urns with incense, and the main building was just shining. Apparently God favored this temple. Buddha's halo above the pavilion rushes into the sky. It looks like the bracelet he's looking for is right there. But suddenly the dryad's body stopped moving, which was like a bolt from the blue. He saw a monk cleaner who was removing leaves in the temple courtyard. The old man cleared his throat, attracting attention to himself. The monk approached him, saying that the things in the pavilion were treasures for a couple of people who truly loved each other, and they had nothing to do with the dryad, so he asked him to leave. Nui, noticing the master's condition, asked what happened to him. The dryad's body was trembling and he could not really move. He knew that all these monks cleaners were hidden masters. The strength of these monks is truly terrifying. Therefore, bowing, the dryad said that since the master said so, he would leave immediately. To which Nui asked that they didn't come there for the bracelets. Would they really just leave? Nui said that this old monk does not know what is good and what is bad. What is Gao Meow going to do? The dryad wondered, wasn't this monk supposed to be an NPC? Why is he so strong? He coughed just once, and he became motionless. Even the Black Mountain Demon King could not do such a thing. This must be a couple who truly loves each other. Should it really be Ning and Xiao? No, Gao Meow will just go and find a random couple and make them try again. But suddenly, Nui noticed someone. Ning walked in the crowd with his head down, holding some kind of scroll in his hands. He approached some shop, asking if they bought paintings there. The man sitting asked what the painting was and if he could take a look. Opening the scroll, he said that this was an excellent picture, and it was well drawn, and the woman was beautiful. But since it was not made by a famous artist, its cost is 5 pieces of silver. Having taken the money, he went back, still with his head down, looking at the money. Nui asked, wasn't Xiao in the picture just now? The dryad replied that he saw. Although this Ning is already with Xiao, he still loves Xiao. It is possible that the reason why the old monk did not give him the bracelet is because of his semi-serious relationship. A few days have passed since that moment, and a new shop opened in the city. Nay was operated by the disguised Gao Meow. Nui asked him if he really wanted to deceive Ning in this guise. He replied that in the last 2 days he had brought a couple of true love, but the old monk said that they were not betrothed, so he did not give them bracelets. In the original story, it was clearly stated that this thing was specially made for Ning so his only way was to deceive Ning Be that as it may, he must dispel his fantasies about Xiao he must love only his goddaughter. They made bait. All they have to do is wait for Ning to bite on it like a fish on a hook. The girls passing by the guy talked to each other, saying that Master Tianxuan was just a miracle. That last time he helped her with her personal life, after she followed his recommendations, she found her betrothed the next month. The second one responded that she wanted it too. Passing by them, Ning Kai-cheng said that they should not believe these rumors about some dubious master. However, these days he experienced many incredible events. He also met many magical creatures, such as Yan Kixia, Xiao Qian, and the grandfather of the dryads. He wanted to see what kind of trick this magician had in store to deceive the girls. But the next moment he was already holding the master's hand, saying that he was truly immortal. He asked Master Tianxuan to help him. He thought that this was truly a Taoist master. He was able to tell his life so accurately, and even clearly understand his thoughts about Xiaoqian and Xiaoqing. The disguised Gao Meow told him not to worry. After all, he not only knows the original plot, but also lived with him in the palace for a long time. Except for the color of his underwear, he knows everything about him. He told Nui to hurry up, because he no longer knows what to weave for the guy. She replied that she was already looking for a famous romantic story in the virtual world. Suddenly, her eyes lit up, and she said that she had found it. She handed him a screen, telling him to look at it. Gao Meow then turned to Ning Kai-cheng. He began to read the story. In his previous life, he was the crimson pearl of the immortal grass above the stone border of 3 lives on the west bank of the Spirit River. And a woman named Ni Xiaoqian was an assistant to the god Ying from the Chiksha Palace. And thanks to the handful of dew that they poured as they passed by, he was able to get rid of leaves and roots, and then turn into a man. But Li Xiaoqing was a stone that had been next to him for thousands of years. Gao Meow said that the reason he can't forget Ni Xiaoqian is because she was the one who turned him into a human, and his feelings for her are just gratitude. And in this life, he is destined to be with Li Xiaoqing and marry her. Ning Kai-cheng was already roaring from such a touching story, saying that it turns out that he had been dynamizing Xiaoqing for 1,000 years. He asked what he should do to repay Ni Xiaoqian's kindness and love Li Xiaoqing with all his heart. Getting up, Gao Meow told him that in this city there is a temple of karma, and inside the temple lives a monk cleaner who has incredible power. Standing up, he disappeared in an instant, telling the guy that he should immediately bring Li Xiaoqing to this temple, and the master would give them both a pair of Bodhi bracelets, and he would give the bracelets to Ni Xiaoqian to repay her for her kindness. When he appears before the master, he should only think about Li Xiaoqing and no one else. His feelings for Ni Xiaoqian are only gratitude. Otherwise, everything he did would be in vain. They were told at the temple that they really love each other, so today the monk will give them Bodhi bracelets that will help them unite their blood and bones. Now a human body began to be created for Li Xiaoqing. They enjoyed that feeling of merging with each other. Ning Kai-cheng said that these are Bodhi bracelets from the Temple of Karma. He hopes that the dryad can give them to Ni Xiaoqian instead of him. Naturally, this bracelet is specially made for Ning Kai-cheng. He is the only one who can receive it. Gao Meow asked why not give them to him personally to eat. He replied that no thank you, they received the monk's blessing, and Li Xiaoqing finally got rid of her ghostly body. Now they plan to leave the palace and travel the world together, and he hopes that the grandfather of the dryads will not mind. This Bodhi bracelet is simply incredible. Ning Kai-cheng was hesitant yesterday, but today he is already head over heels in love with Li Xiaoqing. The dryad said that since he wants to travel so much, he will not stop him. Gao Meow asked Nui if she was sure that nothing bad would happen if he teamed up with these bracelets, to which Nui asked him not to doubt her knowledge. According to the information about the God Temple that Nui received during the previous transmigration, a God mission team entered the world of Demon Qian. He stole Ning Kai-cheng's bracelet and combined it with one of his subordinate demons. This demon later became a half-demon, half-Buddha who easily destroyed other demons. The method is to cut his palm and merge it with his body. This monk was originally a red thread in the sky next to Yue Lao, who turned into a janitor monk looking after the temple. Since the gods ceased to exist and Yue Lao died, his only task was to give a pair of Bodhi bracelets to the son of fortune, Ning Kai-cheng, for his own protection. Now that he has completed the task, he can calmly die. But suddenly he felt that the bracelet he had given him was something wrong with him. But what's wrong is that the bracelet was infected with demonic power. Gao Meow's body was suddenly completely filled with power, so much so that one of his arms began to melt. Nui happily said that the Dryad character card has evolved again. Now he has energy level 3, which significantly increases the recovery rate of various strength attributes. And the demon's strength is inexhaustible. But Nui could not understand what the green Mongol tree seed was, and why it no longer exhibited demonic power. She suddenly screamed in surprise, asking what was wrong with him and why he was turning into a tree seed. Gao Meow immediately flew away somewhere. Nui went after him, telling him to wait for her. The dryad in the form of a seed immediately flew into the tree, passing through its bark. He had already appeared in his hall, in the body of a dryad, when Nui flew to him asking what had happened. He replied that, as stated in the card, in short, after merging with the Bodhi bracelet, his demonic power was purified, and he turned into a tree seed with the nature of a Buddha. At the same time, the ability of myriad trees has evolved, and he can merge with any unusual ancient tree without consciousness and gain its full power. To which the dragon said that although this sounds good, his abilities are still not enough. How would they even be able to defeat the Black Mountain Demon King in this state? Gao Meow replied that there is a sealed memory inside the Bodhi bracelet, and he knows what is there. There is still an extraordinary Bodhi Buddha tree in this world, which was created from a Bodhi seed that fell from the sky. This tree must be about 2,000 years old, and if they can find him, they will definitely be able to defeat the Black Mountain Demon King. Now he and Nui will follow the memories in the Bodhi bracelet to find the Bodhi Buddha tree. They leave the city of Qingyang, cross the hills, fly over the valleys, and head to the far west. They cross the Luohe River, fly over the Baimu River, and finally fly over a large swamp where monsters are running. And finally, they find a 2,000-year-old Bodhi Buddha tree. Gao Meow turns into a tree and places his consciousness in the Bodhi Buddha tree. It is a pity that he will have to give up the extraordinary ancient tree in his palace. He is now a demon king with 2,000 years of demonic power, and he has the body of a Bodhi Buddha tree, which is designed to pacify demons. He became even more majestic, and his hair acquired a golden color. After all, according to the original plot, Yan Qixia will still be the main figure, and Tiger Demon Ning Kai Cheng will be in charge of the Black Mountain Demon King's debuff. In the end, they will win, so he won't lose either. Unexpectedly, a guest showed up at his palace, who, shouting, asked what happened to him, and what happened to the trio. It had been a long time since they had given Yang Qi to the Black Mountain Temple. It was the Monkey Demon, the messenger of the Black Mountain Demon King. He said that the junior demon reported that Qi Ling, Meng Wei, and Meng Jiao had disappeared, and their cave had been razed to the ground. Gao Meow proposed to talk later, saying that the thing the demon was holding in his hand must be a royal decree from the Black Mountain Demon King. In this world, the speed of information transmission is extremely low. These three have been dead for several months, and this messenger received the news and arrived there just now. He asked the messenger what errands the Black Mountain Demon King had for him. The monkey wondered what happened to the dryad that he became so proud. But the king's decree is an important document. All questions will be asked after the decree is announced. He began to read. By order of His Majesty the Demon King, the king learned that in the Dryad Palace there lives a ghost woman, whose name is Xiao, with a wonderful character and dignified appearance. Xiao is summoned to the Black Mountain Temple and is obliged to serve the Black Mountain Demon King. He told her to accept the king's decree. His hard work paid off. After months of searching, he finally found a girl named Xiao, who was born on a lunar day, lunar month, and lunar year. He didn't expect her to be dead and a ghost, which is why it took him so long to find her. Xiao turned to Gao Meow, looking at him hopefully. This day has yet come. The dryad will not be able to save her, since he will not resist the Black Mountain Demon King. She smiled sadly, and what did she expect when she looked at him? The girl started to get up, but she thought it was good that he didn't resist the Black Mountain Demon King for her sake. At least he and the sisters in the palace would be able to survive. Xiao suddenly felt a hand on her shoulder. Gao Meow said that in this palace, only his words are the decree of the king. He asked who this Black Mountain Demon King was that he dared to tell him. Gao Meow launched a beam of light at the monkey, which the demon initially held back well. The messenger asked him if he understood what he was doing. He dared to resist the order of the Demon King. He could barely contain the beam, but the dryad only increased the power of the blow, asking if he knew what he was doing. The beam nevertheless pierced through the demon, almost killing the monkey. He asked him who gave him the right to be so arrogant in front of him, Demon King or Liang Fish. Still standing on his feet, the monkey demon wondered how the dryad could do this. Still, unable to resist, he fell, saying that he could not kill him. Otherwise, the king of demons would not forgive him. Xiao told him not to be too impulsive, because once he killed him, he would have to fight the Demon King to the death. Gao Meow only said that he wanted to use the Black Mountain Demon King to put pressure on him. Not only him, but now he will also kill the Black Mountain Demon King. All the girls were sitting at tables on which stood the meat of the demon who had recently visited them. The girls admired him, saying that the meat looked well cooked. Gao Meow was already visible, holding a piece of meat in one hand and a glass of wine in the other. He urged them to eat this meat, but the girls looked worried, saying that he was too hasty this time. But Xiao looked downcast. She was obviously thinking about something, and he was wondering what was wrong with them. He asked them that isn't he just a demon king formed from a black stone? The dryad said that if he dared to come to his palace, he would definitely make him suffer. Suddenly, Gao Meow passed out, falling face first into the table and spilling the wine. Others were alarmed when they saw him fall, but their master just fell asleep, having too much alcohol. And night came again, and the moon was high in the sky, illuminating the path with its light. A girl in a white robe began to descend from the tree. Having descended, She walked further when she was called out. Other ghost girls came down after her and asked if he wanted to escape. The master killed the demon for her, and now she secretly leaves on her own when he contacted the Black Mountain Demon King. The pink-haired girls said that they were all scared because the master had contacted the Black Mountain Demon King. Logically, escaping the palace before the Demon King unleashes his wrath on them is the best choice. But all this time the master treated them very well. He was very kind to them. And if they leave now, even as ghosts, their hearts will never find peace. They all wanted to find her to discuss their next steps to fight the Black Mountain Demon King. Moreover, she was the main one among them. But they couldn't believe that she decided to run away quietly like that. Xiao said that the target of the Black Mountain Demon King is her. And if she leaves this place and comes to him herself, everyone will be able to survive. They asked what this meant and why the Black Mountain Demon King sent a messenger to bring her to the palace. The girl replied that there was no point in telling since they could not defeat the Black Mountain Demon King, so she asked them to return to the palace. Xiao asked the others to take care of the master for her and not tell him what happened today. Let him think that she ran away because she was afraid of the Black Mountain Demon King. Suddenly she heard Gao Meow's voice asking what she couldn't tell him. He came down from the tree, and the girls, who did not expect to see him, exclaimed. Having landed, he told Nui that he had said that the ghost women would not betray him. I immediately remembered their recent conversation. Nui said that the palace is their home in this world. They cannot allow strangers into it. Now that the monkey demon is dead and they have contacted the Black Mountain Demon King, so they need to use the opportunity to test their loyalty. Nui could not understand there is nothing good in the master, and he did not give anything significant to the girls, so why are they so loyal? Gao Meow thanked them for the hangover soup, and now he's bursting with energy. He turned to Xiao saying that he heard everything. The dryad asked if she wanted to leave the palace because she was afraid of the Black Mountain Demon King. Gao Meow walked up to her and petted her, saying that it seemed like she still didn't believe that he wasn't afraid of the Black Mountain Demon King. He said that he originally planned to kill him in a couple of days, but it looks like he'll have to do it sooner. So tomorrow he will bring them the head of the Black Mountain Demon King and hang it in the palace. Then they won't have to worry about it. Well, it is rare to see His Majesty locking himself away to gather spiritual energy. It seems that this Xiao is very important to His Majesty. The lion demon said that it is very unexpected that the girl is in the dryad palace. It looks like the dryad hit the jackpot. But the monkey demon was still greedy. Even if the dryad received a large reward from His Majesty, the monkey would take a huge portion for himself. The second replied that she was jealous of the monkey demon. But suddenly they saw a huge fireball rushing towards them. They realized that they were being attacked. The head of the monkey demon they had just discussed flew right into their hands. The lion caught the head and exclaimed that it was the head of a monkey demon. And the angry tiger demon shouted who did it. Suddenly they were deafened by a voice that made them tremble. He summoned the Black Mountain Demon King. This same voice told the Black Mountain Demon King that his lunchbox had already arrived. All he had to do was go out and pick it up. It was a dryad with a priest. He told the Taoist to take care of the change, and he himself would take care of the Black Mountain Demon King. Gao Meow tells him that he has only recently succeeded in cultivating spirit and emptiness, and his current state is still not stable. He doesn't need to force himself, and if he can't defeat them, then let him just use the thing he gave him to save himself. All four great demons rushed towards them. They asked who dared to disturb the peace of the Black Mountain Demon King, but they saw only a dryad and a Taoist priest. The lion demon asked him if he knew what crime he had just committed. Leo ordered the others to destroy those who arrived without an invitation. Gao Meow told Yan Shixia that he was leaving them to him. The Taoist immediately rushed towards the demons, drawing his sword from its sheath. The demon soldiers trembled when they heard the name of his technique. It was the demon sword slashing technique. He instantly slashed the four great demons, saying that he would not allow them to interfere with the eldest. In response, the demon lion shouted to the demon soldiers so that they should not stand like idols, but attack their enemies. Gao Meow also rushed into the thick of the battle, saying that when faced with the absolute strength in the martial arts of the fantasy world, it does not matter how many small demons there are. They will still turn to dust. Having said this, he released a shockwave of light, killing with it the demons that blocked his path. This caused a small explosion near the palace where the Black Mountain Demon King was sitting. Elegantly lowering himself to the ground, the dryad said that now it was the turn of the one sitting inside the palace. But suddenly the same building began to tremble, causing bewilderment among the dryad. The Black Mountain Demon King finally appeared from the palace. In appearance, he looked like a burnt titan. And unexpectedly, Yan Shixia attacked the king with only his sword, which was clearly too much for him. With just one touch, the Black Mountain Demon King shattered his Taoist sword into pieces. And one of the fragments of the sword flew straight into the priest's eye, but he was protected by a shield that appeared in front of his face. After such a recoil, he flew away from the Demon King, unable to stay in the air. He was caught by Gao Meow, holding him with a vine. He asked that he didn't know the difference in strength between himself and him, and if he had not saved him in time, he would already be dead. To which he replied that the extermination of demons and evil is part of the work of the monks, his generation, and if he dies because of this, he will have no regrets. This made the dryad look at him strangely, but still giving up, Gao Meow said that he could not explain this to someone as stubborn as him. Therefore, he asked him to let him deal with the Black Mountain Demon King. He asked him to take care of those great demons and not let them escape. Meanwhile, the 4 great demons exclaimed that there was no one in this world who could defeat their king. The wolf demon, licking his wounds, said that he had not been injured for a long time, and thanks to the dryad and the priest, he saw his blood again. Looking at the Black Mountain Demon King, Gao Meow asked if he was the one who wanted to take away his Xiao Qian, and made his ghost girls afraid at the mere mention of his name. The Black Mountain Demon King looked at him with his red eyes, saying the name of the ghost girl he desperately needed. He pointed his hand at the dryad, in which demonic energy was collected, saying that she was what belonged to him, the king. Having made himself a huge hand out of stone, he directed a beam of energy at Gao Meow. He said that the dryad's speed is comparable to the Demon King. Is that why he is confident that he can fight against the king? He rushed along with the Taoist, pushing off from pieces of the building that the king himself destroyed, and said that he has not only speed. He also sent a beam of light with Buddha energy towards the Black Mountain Demon King. After all, he still has unrivaled strength, so Gao Meow increased the power of the beam, directing it at the enemy. But he created a huge sword from stone, saying that the dryad had insulted the dignity of the king, and with this very sword he easily repulsed Gao Meow's attack. A mark appeared on the dryad's forehead that glowed golden. He asked the king if he wanted to cut it, but the king's sword never reached the ruler of the trees, because he was protected by a shield that appeared around him in the form of a ball. Gao Meow used the On Mani Padme skill and ordered him to tear the Demon King apart. The 4 great demons were indignant, saying that how could a demon's abilities receive the blessing of the Buddha's light? And then they noticed that it was not a dryad, but a Bodhi Buddha tree that had turned into a person. To which he replied that he was not a demon, but a venerable Buddha tree. It was said that purification would make him weaker by 3 points. But now, after merging with the Bodhi Buddha tree, he was much stronger than before. But after being hit by Gao Meow, the Demon King only had 1 finger cleared of demonic energy. Gao Meow said that he can thank that one, because it is the light of the Bodhi Buddha that can purify the demonic force, and now his hand has been purified by it, and its demonic touch has been removed. He is merciful today, and therefore will purify him to a spiritual stone with the nature of Buddha. He told him not to worry, because he has inexhaustible power. No matter how much demonic power he has, he can calmly purify him. In response, the Demon King, lifting huge pieces from the building with gravity, said that he had not felt such a disgusting force for a long time. Lifting them into the air, he sent them straight towards the dryad. But he, with the power of Buddha's light, easily fought off the stones flying at him. It seems that this was a deceptive attack, because the next moment, the king appeared in front of him, raising his hand to strike. To which Gao Meow confidently said that his melee skills were not just bad, but too bad. He easily predicted them. His fist collided with the dryad's shield. Even though he has 500 years more demonic power than him, his Buddha light can hold back the demonic power, and the king will not be able to get close to him. Gao Meow thought so. Yanqixia happily noticed that the power of the Black Mountain Demon King began to be constantly refined. The 4 great demons that were locked in the priest's technique roared, saying that limiting the demon's power to the Buddha's light was too unfair. But even through the purification shield, the stones of the Black Mountain Demon King penetrated to the dryad, and he, not expecting this, was surprised. The Black Mountain Demon King still broke the shield of Buddha's light. Reaching Gao Meow, he sent him flying. The dryad landed in the rubble of the former Black Mountain Temple, thinking that this Black Mountain Demon King had gone crazy. Quite shabby but alive, Gao Meow stood up, saying that this was not all. It seems that the Demon King doesn't care about holding back the Buddha's light, as the blow didn't come out weakly. It seems that he's still not really afraid that all his demonic power will be purified. The Black Mountain Demon King has some strange demon power. The places where he fell are contaminated, and he cannot recover so quickly. Well, as expected from the final boss of the original story, he is very difficult to deal with. Apparently this is not all, since the dryad pushed off and headed straight towards the Demon King of the Black Mountain. But the king also did not waste time, and they began to move between the debris in the air. Still, they are quite strong. Even Yanqixia said that everything falls apart from their blows. It is quite difficult to withstand their battle, even for him. They all continued to collide in the air, striking each other. Throwing the dryad against the wall of some building, the Demon King said that even if he had the light of the Buddha, it was difficult to prevent the rotting of his wooden body. To which Gao Meow replied that he would rather look at himself. Half of his demonic power was purified, and the other half of his body turned into a golden Buddha statue. This demonic power is so strange that even the Buddha's light cannot immediately dispel it. He asked him if he thought that in this state he would be able to maintain the position of Demon King in the future. Now let's see which of the two will die first. The dryad used the Buddha's light again, sending the beam directly at the Black Mountain Demon King. From the pressure of the beam, the Demon King of the Black Mountain flew into the tower, which was the only one left intact. But he immediately pushed away from the tower, completely destroying it, and struck back at the Lord of the Trees. At the same time, everything was peaceful near the Dryad's palace, and Xiao fed the fish in the pond, telling them not to rush, because no one would take their food. How nice it would be if people, ghosts and demons could live happily like these fish. But it's just a dream. Looking at the moon, the girl thought how Gao Meow was doing now. She hoped that he would return alive. After that blow, Gao Meow fell into the rubble of the buildings they destroyed during the battle. The dryad looked extremely bad. The rotting of his woody body could be heard from a kilometer away. Already almost completely purified, the Demon King, having said that his Buddha light is dimming, may be unable to fight anymore. But that was not the case. The dryad said that in his body there was only Buddha light, equivalent to 2,000 years of demonic power. And compared to his 2,500 years, Gao Meow is indeed a little weaker in a long battle. But now, at least 2,000 years of his demonic power have been purified, and only 500 years of demonic power remain. To which the Demon King shouted that he did not need to worry about what he had lost, because it would be paid double by Xiao. The Demon King again sent a beam of demonic energy towards Gao Meow. Having created a huge spear from stone, he told the dryad that he would die right now. But Yan Chixia, seeing this, wanted to go to the elder to help. But the enraged great demons blocked his way, saying that first he must kill them. The mark on Gao Meow's forehead grew larger, and the dryad asked him if he thought he had already defeated him. He is completely wrong about this, but the spear still flies towards him. It pierced Gao Meow right into the pile, where the heart was supposed to be. The Black Mountain Demon King said that he still has not returned to his original form, how durable he is. Yan Chixia tried to break through the great demons, but the lion demon blocked his way, telling him not to even think about saving Gao Meow. The Demon King again created a rod of stone, directing it towards the dryad. He said that since he could not die with one blow, then he would inflict several. Suddenly, the dryad's body was wrapped around the roots of a tree, swallowing it completely. And the Black Mountain Demon King couldn't understand where the huge tree came from. The yin-yang rescue pouch that Gao Meow gave to the priest suddenly glowed brightly. While others watched in shock, the yin-yang pouch began to give strength to the tree. Fortunately, since he needed to protect John, he asked him to bring the 1,000-year-old tree from the palace in a bag. Otherwise, he would really be in trouble. Gao Meow's consciousness rushed to the top of the tree. He regained his original form in this world by asking what the relationship was between the Demon King and Xiao, and why Xiao wanted him so much. He asked to tell him and he would let him die in peace. But the Black Mountain Demon King shouted and said that this was impossible. And where did the dryad get such power? The Demon King is well aware of the gifted power of the dryad family, but still, how can you have two extraordinary trees in their original form? Gao Meow said that since he didn't want to talk, he would ask Xiao later. The dryad sent a wave of energy at him, telling him to just die. Most of his demonic power has been purified, and now there are only about 500 years of demonic power left. He will not be able to defeat him. The Black Mountain Demon King said that he would not admit defeat, but the wave was already rushing towards him. This would be the final blow, and the body of the Black Mountain Demon King would disintegrate in half. Seeing something fall out of the Demon King, he grabbed it with vines, carrying it towards him. The vines brought him a man who was in the body of the Black Mountain Demon King. It was Xiao's body, and Gao Meow was very surprised to see her. The great demons could not believe that the Black Mountain Demon King had lost. This is good, because once the king dies, the curses in their bodies will go out of control. This same curse killed them, creating a huge explosion. Holding his shield, Yan Chixia couldn't figure out what kind of forbidden curse the Black Mountain Demon King had in their bodies, and it seemed to be triggered automatically after his death. Xiao couldn't believe that the dryad actually killed the Black Mountain Demon King, but the dead body was lying right in front of her. To which Gao Meow says that the murder itself was a trifle. But why are they so similar? What is the connection between her and the Demon King? He killed her. But is Xiao okay? The dryad says that his attack almost cut her apart, but after he saw her appearance, Gao Meow forcibly trapped her soul in her body. Will this have any effect on the ghost girl? She replied that she originally thought that he would never defeat her, so she did not want to say some things so as not to worry him even more. But she didn't expect him to become so strong. Now the dryad seriously asked what connection she had with her. Xiao replied that in fact they are the same person, or more correctly, the same demon. Gao Meow could not believe that this was possible. He quietly whispered to Nui to wake up. Having just woken up, Nui rubbed her eyes, asking what happened. The girl replies that she doesn't know for sure, but when she died and turned into a ghost, memories appeared in his memory. In a flashback, it is shown that she is just a piece of the soul of the Black Mountain Demon King, which was thrown into the womb of her mother, who after 10 months of pregnancy gave birth to her. Nui said that unexpectedly. But this happens. Many god mission teams came to this world, but none of them heard this from Ni Xiaoqian. She asked if there were any special conditions necessary for this story. Ni Xiaoqian suddenly blushed as she said that she knew that one day the Black Mountain Demon King would come to find her. That's why she never wanted to face the truth. And that's why she was afraid to confess to him. Nui was delighted when she heard her confession to the master. Gao Meow also became flushed when he heard her sincere confession. Nui happily flew around, saying that the task was finally completed. That's why, even though Ni Xiaoqian looked like she was in love, the mission was still not completed. Gao Meow was a little embarrassed that it was the girl's confession for the first time, and even in the funeral hall of the Black Mountain Demon King. It must be because of the existence of the Black Mountain Demon King that she could not open her heart to him. And now that the Black Mountain Demon King is no longer alive, Ni Xiaoqian completely opened up to Gao Meow. In an almost empty room, there was only a single candle that was burning steadily. After taking off her outer clothes, Ni Xiaoqian said, "The Black Mountain Demon King, they are one with him, but each of them has different circumstances, and because of this, she chose a different life." The ghost girl approached the body lying on the bed, saying that she was generated by a piece of her soul and was born into a rich and prosperous family on a lunar day, a lunar month, and a lunar year, and after death she became a ghost. But she was different, absorbed the spirit of heaven and earth, the essence of the sun and moon, and cultivated them for 1,000 years to form her spirit. She wanted to absorb her and return a piece of her soul, but instead she was killed by a dryad. Now her soul is unconscious, and if Ni Xiaoqian's ghost absorbs her, she will be able to increase her strength. Ni Xiaoqian began to merge with the body of the Black Mountain Demon King. The merging of souls into one began. Everything was so attractive and colorful. But she suddenly felt that the consciousness of the Black Mountain Demon King had not been completely destroyed, and a piece of it remained. Xiaoqian had already left a long time ago, saying that it would only take a few minutes to merge with the unconscious soul of the Black Mountain Demon King. So why is she not there yet? The door began to open slowly, emitting a nasty squeak when suddenly a huge dark hand flew out of it, which aimed directly at Gao Meow. He immediately activated the shield of the spiritual tree. The shield began to absorb some evil energy. But Gao Meow was still carried a decent distance away from the door. Still landing, he only saw the silhouette of Ni Xiaoqian in the doorway. Just one blow broke through his spirit tree shield covered in Buddha light. How many thousands of years of cultivation energy does she have? But he suddenly realized, this is not his Xiaoqian. This is the Black Mountain Demon King. Already full of strength, the Black Mountain Demon King came out with a smile, saying that he clearly did not expect this. After all, she not only returned, but became stronger than ever. She has been planning this for so many years. She specially created an eternal soul pearl that can store many souls. Although she originally created it for confrontation, she did not expect that she would have to use it for this. After wiping the blood from his lip, he asked what was wrong with Ni Xiaoqian. Unexpectedly, he heard Yan Qixia's voice asking what was happening and why so much evil energy had suddenly gathered in the palace. The Taoist priest landed right in front of the ruler of the trees. He immediately realized that this was not a ghost girl, but a Black Mountain Demon King. Yan Qixia couldn't understand how she could stay alive. The Black Mountain Demon King immediately released a huge amount of demonic energy. She is now much stronger than she was before. Gao Meow told him to stop talking nonsense and check what was going on with Xiaoqian. Turning on his third eye, Yan Qixia said that Ni Xiaoqian's ghostly spirit and the part of the Black Mountain Demon King's soul are now in the same body. The small part of the Black Mountain Demon King's soul is still not destroyed, and it seems to be suppressing Ni Xiaoqian's ghostly spirit now. Yes, now he sees it. There is a small ball in the center of Xiaoqian's chest. Deep inside the body of the Black Mountain Demon King, there is a pearl that protects a part of the soul, keeping it immortal. That's why part of her soul hasn't been destroyed yet. The Demon King said that it looks like she will have to kill the priest first before she kills the dryad. He knows and sees too much. Taking out the blade and sword, he thought what a terrible amount of evil energy. However, as a Taoist priest, it is his duty to fight evil. But he was suddenly dragged away by the skin like a kitten. Gao Meow told him not to even think about fighting with her, because he would not be able to withstand a blow from her. Who will then help him save Xiaoqian if he dies? They rushed right under the ceiling of the palace, and the ghost girls who walked there could not understand what was happening. Yan Qixia gave him a talisman saying that the process of removing the seal is extremely difficult. But when the opportunity arises, the dryad simply must put this talisman on it, and only then will he have enough time to break the seal. Taking the talisman, Gao Meow let go of Yan Qixia, no longer holding him by the scruff of the neck. The Black Mountain Demon King rose a little higher than them in the sky, saying that they had nowhere to run. She suddenly noticed something interesting in the dryad's hand. Seeing that it was a talisman, she said that it was a pity, but he would not have a chance to touch her. Gao Meow suddenly shouted for Yang to return to the palace. Using the technique, he immediately left, after telling him to be careful. Flying a little into the forest, he quietly told Nui to wake up and give him Owen's map. He landed gracefully among the trees, away from the open area, while the Black Mountain Demon King clearly made one mistake. He didn't need any chances, and one of the two virtual sources that they just received is no longer there. Although outwardly Nui said that she fully supported his decision, inside she almost sat, because this virtual resource is so difficult to obtain. By clicking on Owen's card on the virtual screen, he began to transform into Gao Meow from the previous world. Transformed, he said that if he beat her half to death, then wouldn't he be able to touch her wherever he wanted? She just laughed at him when she heard what he just said. Although the Black Mountain Demon King does not understand what happened to his body, does he really understand what he is saying now? Instantly finding himself near her, he hit her in the stomach, asking if she was funny. From this blow, the Demon King began to bleed from the mouth, and she could not understand how this was possible. To which Gao Meow said that his time is now worth its weight in gold, so he apologizes to Xiao Qian in advance. He struck her again in the stomach, adding a little force to the blow. Having received such a blow to her life, she flew off along the way, knocking down several trees. But Gao Meow did not lag behind her, and again instantly found himself next to her, again raising his hand to strike. This time the blow struck the jaw, badly crushing it. Before the Black Mountain Demon King could turn around, Gao Meow raised his hand again for the next blow. His blow not too weakly went across the ground, forming a hole there. And again he raised his hand to strike, but this time filling his hand with energy. Yet this blow finally made her fall to the ground. He raised his hand again, this time filling it completely with energy. He said that this was his new technique. Gao Meow threw that fireball straight at the Black Mountain Demon King. The same one created a protective golem from her demonic power. All beaten up, she shouted whether he really thought he would defeat her. But suddenly she saw a huge fireball that was heading straight towards her. Her defense golem and fireball collided, creating an explosion. And the next moment, the Demon King of the Black Mountain is already lying, defeated by Gao Meow. She apparently had a hard time with it. Approaching her, he said with a grin that he had said that he would beat her half to death. And he always keeps his words. His boots were the last thing the Black Mountain Demon King saw. Since Ning Kai-cheng inherited the throne, Yan Qixia has been diligently slaying demons day and night. So he announced that the priest would teach Taoism as a government teacher. He appointed people according to their abilities to make the country prosperous and for people and demons to live and work in peace and contentment. And in fact, even the unity of scholars can lead a country to prosperity. But they also have to thank the dryad. But suddenly they noticed Gao Meow and Xiao Qian in the crowd of people and demons. They all immediately knelt down, shouting, "Long live the emperor." Seeing them at his ceremony, Ning Kai-cheng was very happy, because thanks to them, the city came to prosperity. Nui says that after 20 years since Ning Kai-cheng ascended the throne, they have finally completed the last mission for the virtual resource. A system appeared that confirmed that they had completed the mission of times of peace and prosperity. It has already been 23 years since they defeated the Black Mountain Demon King and saved Xiao Qian. And during these 20 years, he and Nui searched for the remaining rewards in this world. While exploring this world, Gao Meow tried to complete all the tasks that were given by virtual resources. And he also killed the 2,000-year-old Sea Serpent King. And also, the Dryad subjugated some demons who did not commit evil deeds, and purified them, and then called them the Supreme Demons. Gao Meow founded the orthodox Xuanmin school, destroyed the evil demons, and turned this world into a calm and quiet place. He also placed a good ruler on the throne, thanks to whom this world prospers, where everyone can live and work in peace and contentment, and all this for 20 years. And she and Xiao Qian are becoming more and more close to each other. Now, he has completed all the adventures in this world, and a lot of time has passed since he was there. Therefore, it's time to leave. Nui said that she will now activate his travel ability. This took Gao Meow by surprise. He stopped abruptly, which bewildered Xiao Qian. Pointing to the entrance to a building, he asked Xiao Qian if she could wait for him there. She walked to the front, and when she looked back, Gao Meow just smiled and waved his hand at her. He asked Nui if he could also take Xiao Qian with him. He currently has 10 virtual resources, so she can spend them all. Nui suddenly looked at him in fear, asking if he really wanted to take Xiao Qian with him. The girl who was waiting for him stood with a sad expression on her face, as if she knew what they were talking about. And looking at her, Nui softened, saying that even if it is difficult, it is quite possible to do it. But he needs to spend a virtual source to start the mission assigned to the character. When he completes it, he can take it with him. Gao Meow asked what the intended mission was and how it could be accomplished. To which Nui replied that all creatures in the virtual world have their own destiny. Their life has long been determined by heavenly law. Heaven seems to be pulling the strings of each character according to a certain scenario. And even if Ni Xiaoqian's fate was changed by Gao Meow this time, it was not enough to take her out of the control of heavenly law. He, like a prince on a white horse, cut her threads that controlled her destiny, thereby saving her from fate. Only when he completes the mission assigned to her can she be completely freed from heavenly law and leave this world without any obstacles. And the intended mission is a mission to change fate in spite of the heavens. Not everyone can fulfill it. Only important native character missions can be started. Among the female ghosts in the palace, only Ni Xiaoqian's mission can be launched. The destination missions are usually very dangerous and difficult. She asked again if he really wanted to take the ghost girl with him, to which Gao Meow says that it is a pity that he cannot take all the ghost women. But as far as difficulty and danger are concerned, this is just a piece of cake for him. He said with pride in his voice that even the strongest demon king in this world, the Black Mountain Demon King, was killed by him. So is there anyone in this world who is stronger than him? The dryad asked the dragoness if she underestimated him, telling her to quickly begin the mission. The system screen showed them a mission about the merger of 3 souls. In the description, it was said that Ni Xiaoqian and the Black Mountain Demon King were transformed from the human soul and the earth soul of the 3 souls of the pure imperial stone after it fell from the sky. They need to reclaim the heavenly soul of the pure imperial stone from Emperor Fengdu. Gao Meow couldn't understand, isn't Zhao Qian part of the residual soul of the Black Mountain Demon King? And what kind of emperor is Fengdu, and what is this pure imperial stone? Nui also couldn't understand who he was, because there wasn't a word about him in the original. She shouted and said that he didn't know who it was either. Ni Xiaoqian suddenly turned to look at them. They were sitting in a ramen shop, and the next table had just been served freshly brewed noodles. Ni Xiaoqian replied that she had no idea what a pure imperial stone was or who the Fengdu emperor was. Even she doesn't know. 20 years ago she merged with the soul of the Black Mountain Demon King. Shouldn't she have known about this? She shook her head and replied that the soul of the Black Mountain Demon King was destroyed by him, and she lost her memories. There is also a treasure in her body that protects her memories. And even more so later, Yang completely destroyed the remnants of her soul, and accordingly, she received only her strength, but not her memory. Hearing this, Gao Meow became visibly upset. The girl asked him in surprise if this was so important to him. Well, if he wants to take her with him, he must take her last piece of soul from Emperor Fengdu, which may be more important than that. Now that he has decided to take Xiao Qian with him, other than the existence of the earth and Nui, he no longer has anything to hide from her. He suddenly approached her unexpectedly, saying that he needed to tell her a very important thing. In response, she covered her mouth with her palm in surprise and stepped back. Even the largest library could not find anything about Emperor Fengdu, saying that there is no such thing in history. Ning Kaicheng told the dryad not to worry. He ordered the Council of Librarians and the Ministry of Public Works to look for information about him in the ancient books, and he thinks they will find something. Yan Chixia suddenly appeared to them saying that Fengdu, which is also known as Kayudu, is a ghost city, but it is still unknown whether this city exists in this world, let alone Emperor Fengdu. He also doesn't know about this person, but there are many unusual people in this world. Maybe someone knows about him. And the Taoist understands that this is very important. So, he sent several of his students to look for any information about him. But 6 months later, the information was finally dug up. The old man said that in the book left by his ancestor, it is said that Emperor Fengdu is the lord of the underworld. He has monstrous strength and limitless magical power. Emperor Fengdu is the monarch of the underworld. He cannot bear sunlight, therefore he cannot leave the underworld. Only in the middle of the night, when a lot of yin energy gathers, will the ghost city in the far west and the ghost gates that connect their worlds open, and he can enter this world and meet the emperor. The blind old man said that even if he does not know why the master wants to meet the ghost emperor, he wants to give one piece of advice. The mortal monarch changes once every 100 years. The demon king changes every 1,000 years. But for tens of thousands of years, only Fengdu has been the emperor of the underworld, so it is better to avoid meeting him. Hearing what the old man said, Gao Meow thought, Nui says that this is not the first person, and all the previous ones were complete nonsense. The dryad said that at least that person indicated a specific place, and also he spoke convincingly, and therefore it was worth a try. And trusting the words of the old man, they found themselves in a ghostly city in which an unpleasant atmosphere lived. Gao Meow said that the city is quite intimidating, to which Nui replied that although this atmosphere cannot affect her, she is still terrified. Suddenly ahead they saw a crowd coming towards them with blue lanterns. These were ghosts that resembled demons in appearance. They carried some kind of banner. Looking at them, Gao Meow said that it was unexpected, but there really are ghosts there. It seems that the old man was not lying. Since they came from that direction, the ghost gate should be located there. He immediately opened his inventory, clicking on the card with Owen's profile in order to scare the ghosts like that. The dryad looked at the crowd of ghosts with a smile, turning into Owen. After transforming, he said that naturally he was going to fight the hidden boss, Emperor Fengdu. Nui almost sat down when she saw that he was using a virtual source, which he had been collecting for quite some time. Seeing him in another body, the ghosts were at first puzzled and stopped coming towards them. Pushing off from the ground, he rushed towards them, asking that he wasn't cool. The ghosts were so scared of his yang energy that they simply ran away from him. A crowd of ghosts quickly ran into the ghost gate, and Gao Meow stood in front of the entrance, looking at the building. And if what the old man said is true, then by going through this gate, you can go to the underworld and meet Emperor Fengdu. Gao Meow really hopes that Emperor Fengdu will be prudent. Otherwise, he would not mind replacing the underground emperor. Suddenly, a strange and terrifying aura began to emanate from the entrance to the underworld. This made even Owen freeze in fear. Nui asked what happened. Holding his heart, he said that he had a strange anxiety about what was behind the gate. His body whispers to him that if he goes there, he will definitely die. Looking at the aura emanating from the gate, Nui exclaimed that this cannot be. With his Dei power, those who are in the middle or late stage of the 4th energy level are unlikely to be able to kill him. There has never been anyone in this world who was even at the 4th energy level. He replied that he did not know, and this was the first time he had experienced such a feeling of fear. But this Fengdu Emperor is definitely strong, very strong, perhaps even stronger than Gao Meow. Nui was already clearly nervous and agitated, asking what they should do. Gao Meow confidently said that he will not abandon Ni Xiaoqian there, even if he has to train for hundreds or thousands of years in this world. For his strength to surpass the Fengdu Emperor, he must take her away. This is worthy of praise. To which Nui exclaimed that he could not remain in this world for so long. As she already said, the virtual world is constantly rebooting, and once the story is completed, the world will reboot. Everything will be restored, and when the time comes, he will be swallowed up by the chaos of the destruction of this world, and with a probability of up to 100% he will die. It is impossible to change the time cycle of reincarnation, and there are only 2 years left until the next reboot. What Nui had just said horrified Gao Meow, because there was very little time left. The weather was rainy outside. Gao Meow said that he had to go away for a month. For the last time he wanted to go to the ghost town and try again. In response, Ni Xiaoqian told him that if he could not win, then let him leave immediately. He did not need to force himself. And it doesn't matter how long they were together, what matters is how they spent that time. For at least the last 2 years, Xiaoqian lived a happy life and did not deny herself anything. And this is the most important thing for Gao Meow. He is glad that he could make her happy. He turned around sharply, saying only that he had gone, leaving the girl in the gazebo. Suddenly, Nui attracted his attention with something, saying that she saw something. She discovered that the team of the Temple of the Gods was approaching this world. Things are going very badly. They are already very close. To which Gao Meow asked, didn't they then run away from them as quickly as possible? And yet they were able to catch up with them. Nervous, she circled in the air saying that they did not come for them. In short, if the plot of a certain virtual world is changed too much, it will attract the attention of the Temple of the Gods, and they send a team to investigate. But Nui and Gao Meow are on the dark side, and the Temple of the Gods is on the light side. If they spent several virtual sources, they would not have to fear that the Temple of the Gods would discover them. Outwardly, she exclaimed that they were very unlucky this time, but internally she thought that she would not like to waste so many virtual resources intended for Ni Xiaoqian's mission. She began to pull him by the sleeve, saying that now the best tactic would be to get away. If they are discovered by the Temple of the Gods, it will be critical if they send a team with energy level 5 or 6 to them. 5th and 6th energy levels, there are really a lot of strong people in the Temple of the Gods. The dryad suddenly turned to Xiaoqian, saying that he knew how to defeat the Fengdu Emperor, to which Nui asked in a whisper what he was going to do, and recklessness would not help here. Finding himself in the desert, he asked if she was sure that they would arrive exactly there. Nui replied that he was 100% sure. Sighing, she replied that she even spent a virtual source to determine the place and time where they would arrive. They will appear there in about 6 hours. Nui didn't want to waste the virtual source, but he had to know the specific time and place of their arrival. But this is quite wasteful. He replied that it was good, but for now, he would try to make a whole forest in this desert. Raising his hand up, he said that he commands the name of the Bodhi Buddha tree. And in an instant, trees climbed out of the sand. They took root in this gloomy, boundless desert, forming a small, improvised forest. They turned the desert into an oasis full of vitality. Gao Meow smiled evilly, saying that these trees are his eyes and ears, so he will immediately know when they arrive and their strength. Nui said with a sigh that when they arrived, she would use another virtual resource to determine their specific mission and the real state of affairs. After all, if you know yourself, then know your enemy, and you can fight 100 battles without the danger of defeat. She tried to convince herself that she wasn't sad about virtual resources. The dryad asked if the messengers of the god's temple would be able to see her, to which Nui replied that no, if their rank is lower than her, then they will not be able to see her. She is ranked 10086 among hundreds of millions of guides. There are only 10085 guides ranked above her, and those who are about to arrive are not one of them. Suddenly, from a portal that was right in the air, the conductor of the god's mission team began to appear. The system reported that the Dragon Search mission team had successfully entered the world. On the other side, Gao Meow stood on a branch watching them appear. Nui said that the will of heaven is completely protected, and the messengers are already here. After transforming into Owen, he said that if he transformed into Owen's form right now, he wouldn't have to use the virtual resource to hide from heaven's detection. A team of 4 appeared, and the system again reported that the protective field of the creatures of the virtual world was activated. It asked the messengers to prepare. Appearing, one of them said that they say that this world has undergone huge changes. So, the Temple of the Gods did not hesitate to assign the highest reward for the mission to explore this world. The girl said that she used the skill, and there are no signs of living creatures within a radius of 3,000 meters. The man who had the guise of a demon began to activate his skill, the black-winged spirit that rests in the black cloud. Let him come and obey his call. A huge number of bats began to appear from many small portals. He spent 10,000 points to redeem this spirit, and it's worth it. Although it is not that strong, this technique is very useful. Looking at the sky, Gao Meow noticed a huge number of bats. He thought that this was some kind of summoning technique. After all, he can really summon so many bats in an instant. The dryad in Owen's body said that the guy who leads the group is not so simple. Even in Owen's form, he feels threatened by him. Nui reports that she is starting analysis. Returning to his dryad form, he said that Owen's power has no place in this world. It's worth fighting in the dryad form first. As soon as he returned to his dryad form, he was immediately discovered by the leader of the arriving team. He said that someone was watching them, and the 3 others immediately rushed to search the area. Nui said she analyzed the information available about them. Gao Meow nevertheless decided to go down to them. Nui said that it looked like a battle was imminent, to which he replied that this was not a problem. As soon as he came down, he was immediately surrounded. Nui said that according to the information she analyzed, their mission is to find out the source of the changes that have occurred in this world. This means that upon their return, their entire time in this world will be recorded and given to the Temple of the Gods to determine the level of their reward. Therefore, he needs to be careful not to reveal a power that does not belong to this world. They are strong and have the skills of a hero and a demon king. At least they are stronger than Team Iron Flag, which Nui once commanded, especially their leader. He has already reached the 4th energy level. The one that Nui was just talking about approached the dryad, asking who he was and why he was following them. Nui says their original plan was to conduct secret surveillance, but they were discovered. Should they escape? Gao Meow responded with an evil smile, mockingly saying that he would never run away. He is a dryad wizard. The strongest demon king in this world will not run away after being discovered. That would be a real shame. He suddenly completely released the energy that was flowing in different directions. Gao Meow told Nui that they would talk about it after the fight. In response to the newcomer's question, Gao Meow said that he should ask who they are. He is the owner of the Tree Ruler's Palace, the Bodhi Demon King, and this place is his territory. Gao Meow asked how dare they be there without his knowledge. The leader of the arriving team thought, because there is not a single record about the Demon King Bodhi in the Temple of the Gods. Suddenly realizing something, the Winged One asked if he was the same dryad wizard from the Palace of the Ruler of the Trees. But how is this possible, since it was recorded that the dryad is only an 800, 900-year-old demon? It seems that the Winged One knows who he is, and even knowing this, he still showed up on his territory. Gao Meow made a huge makeshift hand from the light of Buddha, pointing it towards the messengers, saying that he would ban them from his palace for 30 years, so that they would reflect on their sins. The leader of the group laughed and created a magic circle, saying that he, as a non-entity, should know his place. He also made a huge hand, pointing it at the dryad. Their 2 huge hands collided, causing a wave of wind. The Winged One asked what kind of power purifies his demonic power. The other 3 said they would help him. They were thinking of using 4 forbidden elemental spells. But the winged one said that there was no need, because he himself could defeat the dryad. They just have to support him with different buffs to finish him off quickly. The girl, raising her staff up, said, "Let everything return to its place, and O glorious light, turn into a protective cape." The winged one became more confident with the cape, saying that as long as the holy cape protects him, any light or purifying skills will not affect him. He increased the pressure on his improvised hand, to which the dryad said with a smile that he was not the only one who could cast magic. Gao Meow also increased the pressure on the huge hand, ordering Jimmy to kill them. The collision of two power-charged hands caused a small explosion. The arriving team was safe and sound. Yes, who would have thought that dryads would become so strong? If the winged one hadn't used a little more of his power, he might have died. Gao Meow looked a little shabby. This guy is really strong, and it looks like he is also hiding his true strength. He is directly suitable to be a test subject for Gao Meow. Nui said that if the dryad continued to fight in this form, he would most likely lose. To which he replied that he was not going to continue the fight, because he had already achieved his goal. Turning to the messengers, he said that he did not know that in this world there was someone so strong as the winged one. Although the strength he demonstrated doesn't seem like anything unique, he is still admired. Gao Meow handed them the vine, saying that it would be better to forget all the grievances. So he invites them to visit him. The leader of the group looked at him in confusion. He could not understand this dryad. They literally just fought each other to the death, and now he invites him to his palace. The rest of the team tried to dissuade him from accepting the invitation to visit the dryad, telling him not to trust this dryad, because who knows what he is up to. But he easily agreed, which took his comrades by surprise, and shaking the vine, he said that if there was good wine and delicacies left, it would be an honor. With the skill and personality of a dryad, he definitely has a lot of information. This will definitely help him speed up the process of understanding the progress of this world. And the dryad's skills are no higher than his anyway, and if he is really up to something, then he can simply kill him. Gao Meow pushed off the ground, flying into the sky, saying after him that he would not give them any girls, but good wine and food with ease. One of the team tried to say something to the boss, but he interrupted him, saying that he knew what he was doing. And the next moment he also flew after the dryad, leaving his comrades. Already on the way, while flying, Gao Meow asked which group of demons the person had come from, because he had never seen demons like him. To which he replied that perhaps he does not know, but in fact this world is shaped like a ball. In addition to the eastern continent on which they are now located, there is also a western one. He comes from the western continent, part of the Leinsman family. When the dryad returned to the palace, everyone greeted him as expected. The ghost girls who lived there reported the latest news as they walked. For example, a few days ago, the white-toed demon king sent him gifts, and the green sparrow demon king will be coming for a visit in a few days. And the human king, Ning Kai-cheng, hopes that he will allow him to prepare a celebration in honor of his 936th birthday. The four arrivals looked around in surprise. Originally, the dryad was just a pawn who couldn't even be called a demon. But now the dryad has become strong and influential, and the king of people and everyone else now serve him. Suddenly, a beautiful girl in a golden robe came out to meet them, carrying the same golden cape in her hands. The whole team froze when they saw the embodiment of beauty. Even the leader of the group was surprised, because he didn't know that such beautiful girls existed in this place. When the girl threw a golden cape over Gao Meow's shoulders, he asked her if something happened while he was away. The winged one thought that it might be Ni Xiaoqian. But when did Ni Xiaoqian have such a relationship with a dryad? And what about Ning Kai-cheng? Noticing people behind her husband, she asked who they were. He scratched his head and replied that their names were so long that he could not remember. The leader of the group bowed and introduced himself as Tserov Fernan Norse Eduardo Furkinasiba Diego Josier San Diego. To which Gao Meow waved his hand, saying that this was no good, so he would call him Anu. Taking the winged one by the hand, he said to meet his daughter-in-law, and taking Zhao Qian by the hand, he said to meet his new brother. To which the horned one asks when he became his brother, to which he simply replied that all people are brothers, and friendship becomes stronger after fights. So from now on, he can call him Big Brother, and he will protect him. Zhao Qian also confirmed, saying that dryads rarely interact with people so kindly, so they must be special. Although Anu did not accept his offer in the end, he still lives in his palace. A bat flew into the window of the room, bringing some information. There are only half a month left until the next world reboot cycle, and most of the 3,000 hell bats have already returned. The bat sat on the horned man's hand while he continued to say that thanks to them, he had collected quite a lot of information. Well, as expected, this world has become strange because of the dryad. The fates of Ni Xiaoqian, Yan Qixia, and Ning Kai-cheng had changed since they began interacting with and following the dryad. The guy in the blue cape suggested that the boss just kill the dryad and not bother. After petting the mouse, Anyu said that they would wait a little longer, and didn't he understand that the dryads were much stronger than in the original? Even his character is strange. The dryad has an evil and ruthless disposition, but he treats them well. The girl assumed that it was because the dryads were afraid of their boss's power, to which the winged one replied that if he was really afraid of his strength, then with his character he would have bowed at his feet long ago like a slave. Would he even treat him so kindly? But the one who shows inexplicable concern hides evil intentions, so the dryad is probably up to something. And a hurricane can be caused by the usual flapping of a butterfly's wings, so each reboot cycle can be completely different due to any little thing. But in any case, Ning Kaicheng and Ni Xiaoqian killed the dryad and the Black Mountain Demon King along with Yan Chixia. This is the main plot, and it shouldn't be any other way. And while he was talking, his bat took aim at a butterfly that flew into the open window. As for the current state of affairs in this world, this is definitely not the result of the independent development of the world. Rather, it occurs due to the intervention of external forces. The flying rat nevertheless attacked the butterfly, starting to gnaw on its wing. Gao Meow. You need to be at least at energy level 5 to realize that he is a being of the virtual world. But for a dryad who is not even at the 4th energy level, this is impossible. Therefore, the Horned One thinks that the dryad is just someone's puppet. While he was locking the bat back, he said that someone powerful was doing all this on behalf of the dryad. The wind blew freely over the high cliffs, not noticing the two people who stood almost on the very edge. It was Anyu and Gao Meow. The dryad asked if he had decided that he wanted to join the palace and conquer the world with him, to which he replied that Siro is a clan that belongs to the western part of this world. He accidentally used a teleportation scroll and ended up here, but he will soon need to return to his homeland. And Niu thought that the dryad was completely calm, so he was clearly plotting something against him, but he did not yet understand what exactly. Feigning sadness on his face, the Horned One said that in fact, he came here to say that tomorrow he was already going to go home. The Horned One needs to incite Gao Meow into action. Gao Meow also feigned surprise. The newcomer can come up with whatever he wants, because he knows everything anyway. Therefore, turning to the cliff, he pointed to something on that side and asked if he knew what was there. A black thing appeared before their eyes, giving off the sound of ghosts from kilometers away. Gao Meow told him that this is a ghost world. The new information shocked the Winged One. He didn't even know about this world. He was happy, because this information had not yet been available. At present, God does not exist. God, man, ghost, and demon, the 4 races of living beings, changed to Taoist, man, ghost, and demon. Now Gao Meow is the uncrowned demon king who secretly controls the human emperor and the Taoist master. All he has to do is kill the Fengdu emperor of the ghost world, and he has conquered the entire world. The strength of the Fengdu ghost emperor is not weaker than his, and in this world, he is on the same level with both of them. Gao Meow asked Aniu to stay and help him, and after they kill Emperor Fengdu, he will give the winged world of ghosts, and they will rule this world together. He says that before Anyu came, he did not even know about the existence of the Western continent, and that the far west was so far away. It is clear that there is simply a huge fortune between their continents. So why doesn't he just stay on the Eastern continent and become the master of the ghost world? Even if Anyu wants to leave, wouldn't it be easier to find a way to the Western continent with his and all the world's help after he becomes the master of the ghost world? The Horned One said that he needed time to think. After all, Emperor Fengdu is also a character who was not mentioned in the main plot. It is possible that he is the butterfly that changed this world. He quickly flew away, saying that he would return soon. Nui, meanwhile, appeared in front of Gao Meow. She angrily stomped her paw in the air, asking why he told him everything. The dryad is too straightforward. How could he tell someone that he was going to kill Emperor Fengdu? Their task is to find out the reason for the changes in this world. On the contrary, he must remove suspicions from himself, and then put all the blame on Emperor Fengdu, and just watch them kill each other. To which he replied that Nui was too mistaken, because the only option was to become stronger. He suddenly looked at her menacingly, saying he would repeat what she had just said. She replied that she simply noticed that this time he had not taken any action yet, so she decided to guess what he would do next. But Nui already understood everything, saying that she was simply unable to understand such a great person as Gao Meow. The dryad began to stroke her head, and she began to squirm away, telling him not to stroke her, because of this he might not grow back. She asked him if he really wasn't going to do anything. After all, considering how much he has done in this world, he is the main suspect. And compared to the Fengdu Emperor, Anyu and his team will want to kill Gao Meow first. To which he replied that it was unlikely. This guy is smart. And smart people like to think too much. Besides, according to what she said, their mission is to find out the reason for the changes in this world. And if they want to get the best rewards, they should explore as much as possible. He would suspect him if he did not know about the existence of the Fengdu Emperor. But since he knows about him, the dryads are nothing to him. Nui said that she understood his train of thought. Well, for Anyu, since he wants to find out more information about Fengdu, who else could be a more suitable informant other than the dryad who knows everything? Gao Meow led them straight to the gate to the underworld, and they looked around in surprise because they had never seen anything like this. The Winged One asked the dryad why he did not ask for help from Yanqixia and Ning Kaicheng to cope with the Fengdu Emperor. After all, Yanqixia and Ning Kaicheng are the sons of luck, and if they were with them, everything would have gone much more successfully. To which he replied that Ning Kaicheng is now a human emperor, and Yanqixia is a Taoist master. They cannot suffer in the underworld. It is too dangerous for them. They are not needed here, because as soon as Zhao Qian gets a piece of the soul, they will immediately escape. But if there were also those two, they would not be able to escape. Gao Meow said that if they were here, they would also want part of the underworld for themselves. Magically transmitting her voice, the girl said that she felt extremely frightening elementary vibrations from inside this door. And it is much more powerful than Anyu's elemental magic. She thinks the dryad wants to use them to fight there. When it seems like you need to be baptized. She says that besides the Fengdu Emperor, everything else the dryad told them is a lie, and he just wants to use them. Gao Meow asked in a whisper what they were talking about, because God forbid they found out about his plan. Xiao Qian replied that apparently they communicate using some kind of magic so that they do not hear them. Nui just sighed heavily, but she said that they are not so stupid, and most likely they will understand his plan. Gao Meow asked Anyu what was the matter, because if he was worried about something then he could call more people. The Horned One shook his head, saying that nothing was needed. He doesn't care whether the dryad has an ulterior motive or not, because if they are convinced that Emperor Fengdu is that same butterfly, they can directly call a guide to leave this world immediately, and the dryad will fight alone. The dryad said that since there are no problems, then we should go inside the gate. Gao Meow was loudly indignant, saying that the Lord of the upper world of dryads came here in person, and Fengdu's servant did not even come to bow and greet him. How dare he? Gao Meow and Ni Xiaoqian walked in front, and Anyu and his team walked a little behind them. The dryad said that if he met him, he would punch him in the face, make this green spring hiss, and grind the Nehi Bridge over the Forgotten River into powder. After which, he is 100% sure that this pissing emperor will come out. Suddenly he heard a voice saying that it was disrespectful to call the name of the emperor. It was a crime, blasphemy against ghosts and gods. His name will be erased from the book of life and death, and the cycle of reincarnation will no longer be possible for him. Suddenly in the distance they saw a huge number of ghosts rushing straight towards them. An army of ghosts moved towards them straight along the green spring, shouting asking who they were and how dare they come into this world. Gao Meow said irritably that they didn't even understand who he was. It looks like it's time to teach their little world a lesson. He tried to turn their attention to the Horned One, saying that he was, okay, a pretty kind person, but his brother, Anyu, was very vindictive, and he came to destroy their emperor and subjugate their underworld. The Horned One realized that the dryad was trying to divert their attention to him. The army of ghosts became extremely angry. They were furious, and therefore rushed straight at them. Gao Meow told the Winged One that he was relying on him because he was out of shape today. He ordered the team to attack the army of ghosts, saying that for now they would not touch the dryad, but it was better not to waste too much energy. Those, saying that they understood him, entered into battle with the ghosts. That man with the shield created a huge monster that easily destroyed an army of ghosts. The girl created fireballs that fell from the sky directly onto the bodies of ghosts, causing them to burn. And the guy in the cape simply cut off their limbs with a wave of energy. The head of the leader of the ghost army flew straight towards Zhao Qian when it was cut off. The head even managed to move and head towards Zhao Qian in order to attack. Seeing that the head was heading towards her on its own, the girl was quite frightened. The ghost's head tried to subdue the girl's mind, and for a second, everything worked. But Gao Meow grabbed his head in time, preventing her from doing anything. He worriedly asked Zhao Qian if she was okay, asking what happened. Because after she absorbed the remnants of the soul of the Black Mountain Demon King, she became much stronger than him. She could easily handle such an attack from a lowly demon. To which she replied that Xiao Tianxiang told her that a wife should be weak in front of strangers so that her husband could prove himself. But she also knows that he will always save her and she doesn't have to do anything. Gao Meow just smiled, looking at her with tenderness in his eyes. The guy in the cape apologized, saying he didn't know he could attack with just his head. It seems that the concept of life and death of these ghosts is different from the life of living beings, so next time you need to be more careful. And Niu noticed that the girl was scared. He could not understand why the dryad brought her with him when they had to face such a strong enemy as Emperor Fengdu. Suddenly, an entire building began to emerge from the ground, and someone began to read a poem, rolling down a forgotten river flowing east, in search of a tortured man with an unbridled spirit. Standing on the building was a young man, quite young for the Fengdu emperor, who said that no one had been to the underworld for quite a long time. He was holding some kind of book in his hands. He probably should have cleaned up first before meeting the guests. Of course, he should have been happy that they had come all this way, but he wasn't happy at all. His palace was literally floating in the air, as if someone invisible was supporting it. And unfortunately, they harmed his people as soon as they arrived here, and it seems that they have evil intentions towards him in this world. Gao Meow said that he was surprised that he appeared so quickly. And he is not at all what he expected to see as a dryad. He looks quite young. He thought that he would have to kill everyone around here for him to appear. Meanwhile, Ni Xiaoqian already felt that her soul was very close. Gao Meow confirmed that they really did not come there with good intentions, and it looks like Xiaoqian already knows where her soul is. He created a huge tree saying that they are here to take over this world and kill him, that is Emperor Fengdu, and then Anyu will take his place. All he needs to do now is buy her a lot of time. The dryad announced that today he would kill him. From the tree fell several seeds: feeling, form, education, perception, and consciousness. Fengdu said that the guest who silently left had a familiar aura coming from her. Perhaps she was one of those who had already appeared here over the past 1,000 years. He would love to remember the past with her, but he should not rush. First, he needs to greet the guests who are now in front of him. He has been there for thousands of years. He can wait a couple of minutes. The emperor summoned a huge book, telling someone to go beyond the 5 aggregates and awaken absolute emptiness and subjugate the Buddha Dharma. He is clearly an unusual person, but was only reborn as a dryad. And it seems that many interesting things have happened in the world over the past few thousand years. Although he combined the technique into a ring of 5 essences, the book easily absorbed the attack. Fengdu said that he was very interested in his skill, so he will save it, and the next time he gets bored, he will take it out to study more. Gao Meow said that he just retained his skill like that. Apparently, he's really strong. Therefore, he pushed off from the ground, jumped up, and activated a ray of Buddha light from his mark on his forehead. A girl from Team Anyu reported that something was wrong. Emperor Fengdu seemed to have been sleeping for many years, and it doesn't seem like he was interested in what happened in recent years. He apparently doesn't even know who the dryad is. The guy in the cape also reported, saying that Ni Xiaoqian had gone somewhere. The horned one nodded his head, saying that, as expected, the dryads were hiding something from them. Although he is indifferent to them, the feeling that someone is using him haunts him. That's why he told Xianzhao to follow Ni Xiaoqian. No matter what they are secretly planning behind their backs, he will not allow things to continue as usual. He looked at the dryad who was firing a beam of Buddha light at Emperor Fengdu. Having said that, as for these two, the Temple of the Gods will study their memory to find that butterfly. And before they return, they should stay there and silently watch the battle between the dryad and Fengdu in order to get as much information as possible. Well, Emperor Fengdu also did not waste any time, and in response he only strengthened the book. She again easily absorbed the ray of Buddha light from Gao Meow. Gao Meow was very surprised when he saw that the book responded by charging him with his own beam. While dodging the beam, he said that Emperor Fengdu is very strong, but there is something wrong with him. Although he is stronger than the Black Mountain Demon King, but still not to the extent that even Owen's appearance is afraid. He went straight to the group of arrivals, saying that wasn't it Anyu who said that he wanted to take his soul to improve his mortal body and also use his head as a toilet. The girl said that they had to do something to block the attack. Meanwhile, not noticing anything on the way, Ni Xiaoqian moved to where she felt her soul. She suddenly saw in front of her a huge magical seal that was locking something, but a small-sized dog appeared in front of her, who said that he was the Wunai beast summoned by Master Sero, and Master Sero usually calls him Sanjiao. And the master ordered him to stop her. He told her to be a good girl and give up, to which Ni Xiaoqian said that a puppy like him would not point her out. He suddenly heard such an appeal and turned into a 3-headed dog, saying that he was Wunai from the underworld, the defender of the entrance gates of hell, and a fire-breathing 3-headed dog. Zhao Qian didn't like that he suddenly became so big, and besides, he began to emit energy on par with the energy of the Demon King. But he still can't live. She's not near the dryad now, so she doesn't have to worry about anything. Zhao Qian released the energy she had absorbed from the Black Mountain Demon King. 3 of the arrivals crossed their weapons in the air, creating some kind of glow. By doing this, they created a tricolor pillar straight into the sky. Apparently with this, they wanted to stop the Book of Life and Death that was flying straight at them. But not even a scratch remained on it, and it returned safely into the hands of Emperor Fengdu. But the trio still could not believe it, because even the triple combination of the forbidden curse could not even give him a scratch. To which Niu said that their energy level is only at level 3, and they still lack a little to inflict even a scratch on Fend. He confidently approached them, telling them to step aside and leave it to him. Passing by the girl, he whispered that they should take out the last teleportation talisman and prepare to leave this world soon. And Niu told Emperor Fendu that now he and the dryads would be his opponents. Gao Meow heard this and said that today, when they unite, they will definitely be able to get rid of Fengdu. Fendu's skills are a bit strange, which means he's probably hiding his true strength. With Niu, if something went wrong, he would be able to cover him, and the dryad would be able to take advantage of the moment to escape. The girl approached the rest of the team, saying that the boss told her to prepare to use the last teleportation talisman. This confused them, because the points required for one teleportation talisman would be enough for the entire reward for this task. Is she sure they will just use it? She replied that they would need to leave the battle in order to call a guide. In addition, for a guide to lead them out of this world, it also required a huge amount of time. And the dryads and Fendu would definitely not give them time for this. And if they use the teleportation talisman, they will be able to call a guide at any time, and will also be able to immediately leave this world. And the brute guy didn't agree with them. He said that this is why the teleportation talisman is so valuable. Are they really going to use it like that? The girl replied that the skills of the dryad and Fendu do not seem stronger than the skills of their boss. As for why he asked her to prepare a teleportation talisman, it was because their boss was very careful. A backup plan in case of unforeseen circumstances. Emperor Fengdu floated in the air, saying that the skills they were using were very interesting. These are not quite demonic arts, but not quite Taoism either. And he couldn't find both of them in the records of life and death. Who are they anyway? Fengdu began his guess by saying that it was possible that they were not from this world. Definitely not from this, but completely different. This alerted Niu, and he frowned. Therefore, Emperor Fengdu asked directly that they were from another world, and Niu decided to play the fool, pretending that he didn't understand what he was talking about. To which Fengdu said with a smile that his name is not written in the Book of Life and Death. Therefore, he must be from another world. He has seen many gods, people, ghosts, and demons over thousands of years, but this is the first time he has seen someone from another world. Fengdu said that he should stay in the underworld because he has many questions about other worlds, and he really hopes that he will answer everything for him. This clearly angered the Winged One, because he shouted for the Emperor to force him, since he wanted him to stay. Being at the end point of the black cloud, controlling the thunder, the lotus sliding through the clouds of the blue sky, blowing the horn of the universe, comprehend, bottomless hell dragon. Having said this, a dragon's head began to appear from the portal. The hell dragon of the abyss appeared in its terrifying form, but this magic only increased Fendu's interest. Opposite the abyss hell dragon, Emperor Fengdu looked very tiny. Originally, Gao Meow thought that he would have to fight alongside them, but it seems that everything turned out better than he thought. It seems that Emperor Fengdu is more interested in Niu and the others than in the dryad. And since this has happened, you can quietly leave the place where the battle will take place. But then a water barrier blocked his path, and they called out to him from behind. Fengdu says that he was originally a demon, but now he has the light of a Buddha. His strength also surpasses most demon kings, so he is also very interested in him. Well, what didn't work out was unfortunate. Gao Meow, in response to this, said that since he is not a beauty, he is not interested in him. And the next moment, he also created the Bodhi dragon, saying that if he wants them to stay there, then let him try to force them, see if he can do it. His dragon released fire from its mouth, and Gao Meow invited Niu to destroy this world together. He apparently agreed, since his dragon also began to release a kind of flame from its mouth. When the fire almost reached Emperor Fengdu, he summoned a stream of water from a green spring that was directly below them. He created himself a barrier shield from water, so that the fire of dragons could not reach him. And Niu was very surprised that he blocked his attack so easily. So, in addition to everything, he created 2 water dragons for himself, saying that this level of the method of accumulating demon souls is very effective. And he really wants to study it, so he hopes that they will kindly help him later. Yeah, hope always dies last. One of the water dragons targeted the Bodhi dragon that Gao Meow created. Having nevertheless attacked him, they began to gradually disperse. Gao Meow thought that Emperor Fengdu was not weak, but also not as strong as he imagined. And the second water dragon, green in color, was already strangling with might and main the hellish dragon of the abyss, which Yu had created, and the water dragon clearly won this battle of dragons. This Fengdu is actually at energy level. Emperor Fengdu smiled, having fun with all his heart. He asked the dryad with a smile how he liked his skills. But the next moment it was as if something was holding him down, not allowing him to even move a finger. He was trapped. Now he has no chance of winning. And Nui said that his guys were great. They secretly created a large four-sided array of the forbidden spell while they were fighting him. The three of them can individually cast a forbidden spell with 3 different attributes: earth, wind, and fire. Only there is not enough water for the 4th forbidden spell of earth, water, wind, and fire. But if he uses this precious magic crystal that sealed the water-type forbidden spell, it will be enough. This created waves that cut everything that came their way, so that they literally cut Fengdu in half. Everything was engulfed in fire, and the buildings were completely destroyed. The city was in complete chaos. Demons and ghosts of various kinds fled in all directions. They called on others to flee, because even the Qin Lord Guangwang was killed. The cause of all this chaos was a girl who sat on a 3-headed dog who watered the city with fire. This disgusting woman is actually so powerful that he can't help but follow her orders. Xiao Qian finally reached the treasured door that she was looking for. Entering inside, she saw in front of her a huge number of souls that looked like a simple golden light. Among all these, she finally found her heavenly soul. The body of Xiao Qian herself was visible in this golden ball. Now she is bringing her back. But suddenly all the souls began to float away somewhere, not paying attention to her. Xiao Qian could not understand what happened and why her and other souls were flying away somewhere together. She forgot to close the door, so they flew away like feathers. At the sight of the battle, lightning still blazed and the stones stood in their places. Gao Meow looked out from behind the stones. He also could not understand what kind of skill this was, because if he had not stood far away, even he would have been cut in half. Looking down, he saw the body of Emperor Fengdu, but he was definitely unlucky. He was standing very close. But something is still wrong. Still, is this really all that Emperor Fengdu is capable of? That's not enough to make Owen's avatar feel afraid. Gao Meow said with a sigh that if he had known that he was so weak, he would have come alone, without Yu. 3 of the arriving team were breathing heavily. The thug said that to die from the 4th forbidden spell, at least he lived his life in vain. It's just a pity that the dryad didn't get hit. Suddenly, souls appeared out of nowhere in the form of golden balls. They began to circle around Fengdu's body. Suddenly, these souls began to pierce the bodies of Yu's comrades, killing them. Although Fengdu already knew that they were up to something, he did not expect that they would be able to do something like this. During these 10,000 years of time, he secretly collected thousands of souls of powerful people who set foot in the underworld and transformed the souls of 10,000 disasters into these realms. And they can die in his place when he is in great danger. The souls of thousands of powerful people are transformed into the soul realm of 10,000 disasters. This means that Xiao Qian's soul is probably there too. Suddenly he heard Xiao Qian call out and he turned around. He saw Xiao Qian sitting on a 3-headed dog. The girl shouted that her soul was up there. The dog, as soon as he saw his owner, immediately began to tearfully ask him to save him. But Xiao Qian quickly stopped this, telling him to shut up. Emperor Fengdu seemed to be rising from the dead, and there were a huge number of souls behind him. And Niu could not believe that these were really the souls of 10,000 people. Fengdu is full of energy again, and said that they have 10 seconds and his patience is running out. Now he could control the souls, directing them where he wanted, so he directed them to Gao Meow with Yu. He started counting from 1. While the winged one was attacked by some glowing rooster, Yu told the dryad that he wanted him to explain to him what happened to Sanjiao. But first, they needed to get rid of the resurrected goat. Now they were attacked by snakes. It was 2 seconds. Xiao Qian said that this is the electric python demon king technique. Double purple lightning. The girl told him to be careful. After all, these 10,000 trouble soul realms contain the souls of thousands of powerful people, and he seems to be able to take advantage of their techniques. There are truly thousands of them here. But do they deserve to be called powerful? Fengdu at the same time counted. He forgot which child once told him that fierce beasts always walk alone, and those that appear in groups are cattle and sheep. Although that child was a nobody, there is meaning in his words. And the emperor continued to count down to 10, and 4 seconds passed. Sanjiao destroyed the snakes by asking how they dare to fight him, so he deserved to be defeated. Gao Meow kept teasing Fengdu, saying that this is all he can do. Let him show him all his strength. Meanwhile, he counted out 5, and all the souls seemed to be connected to each other by thin threads. He counted 6, and Gao Meow was already tense, seeing that he was not reacting at all. 10,000 souls with different talents, powers, and races. How could Emperor Fengdu gather them all together without fear of them coming into conflict with each other? 3 cattle and sheep are nothing. But when there are tens of thousands of them, it is already strong. Suddenly a place appeared from which lightning began to strike all living things. Fengdu, meanwhile, counted down 7 seconds. Ni Xiaoqian also began to do something strange, and blue lights appeared around her. He counted down 8 seconds and lightning struck Xiaoqian, killing her. After counting down the 9th second, the lightning killed the winged one, leaving the animal alive. Gao Meow tried to resist the lightning by creating a shield from vines, saying that 10,000 souls are useless pieces of garbage. But still, lightning began to break through his shield. Having counted down 10, lightning pierced the dryad's body, leaving him not alive. They all turned to coal under the blows of his thunder. Therefore, he will help them turn into dust of the earth. He suddenly heard a sound, and it seemed like it was coming straight from heaven. This was not very good for him. Among all the burnt things stood a whole and healthy Fengdu, who looked at the clouds thickening in front of him. He looked at the heavens with fear. He recognized this feeling that appeared after he heard the sound coming from the heavens. A ray of light began to appear from the clouds. Apparently it noticed something was wrong and was heading towards Fend. But he doesn't like it. And who will ask him? But he was finally able to awaken and write himself out of the book through the soul realm of 10,000 troubles. When he is not around, he is considered the master of the underworld. What will he become now that he returns? That's right, no one. He called to the book, saying to return his true body, ordering that the book of life and death should appear, and subjugate the sky and block the path of the heavens. It immediately flew to the sky, blocking the ray of radiance and the entrance from heaven to it into the underworld. The fake Emperor Fengdu was happy like crazy because it worked, and now with his power, he can stop the return of the real emperor. But suddenly, he felt strange and vomited a huge amount of blood, and he thought that this was impossible. The next moment, the book was torn to shreds, leaving behind only useless garbage. Yet, he failed, and it would cost him his life when the real Emperor Fengdu returned. A huge ice floe appeared above him, which was supported on ice pillars. This very ice floe terrified him. Suddenly, an unknown blonde man appeared, who said that he was not the Fengdu Emperor, but simply someone posing as him while he was gone somewhere. He's just an imposter. It was a young man with blonde hair and blue eyes. He said that those sounds just now. It must be the real Emperor Fengdu is returning. Still, what a terrifying power. If it were not for the decree of hiding the heavens, which can block the heavens, he would have immediately fled from here. The fake apparently guessed who it was, saying that he was that otherworldly person, because he did not turn to ashes after his fall of 1,000 disasters. To which he bowed and said that he would introduce himself again. His name is Crow Ellipsis Reinschmann, and he is from the Reinschmann family, which is on the western continent. And of course, the Reinschmann family is not from this world. The fall of 1,000 tribulations is really strong. Even the demonic body he obtained after using the demonic fruit was unable to withstand it. But when he uses his true power, it is a mere trifle for him. Spitting out the stagnant blood, the fake asked what this decree of heavenly concealment was.